All right, and we're live. Welcome, everybody, back to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. I'm your host this week, the Iceberg, joined once again by Eric Estepp, Darren Gilliam as Black Flags Matter, and also DannyBTalks, and our special guest today, Bill Lester. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, fellas. Good to be with you.
So I guess the first question I'll ask really quick is, what was it like racing in Cup and against Cup Series drivers when you were in there? I got to see you in this car at Michigan, so I rooted for you, and I just want to know, what was it like to race against the best in stock car racing?
You know, it was a big jump from the trucks, that's for sure. I mean, I was really thrown into the deep end. I didn't have a lot of experience. I knew Atlanta Motor Speedway, but I knew it in a truck. I didn't know in a Cup car, and all your reference points are different. The horsepower is intoxicating, and the aero is nothing like what you deal with in a truck as well. So it was a very eye-opening experience. I enjoyed it. I was in over my head. I wish I had really more opportunities to really get acquainted with it and to be comfortable with it and what have you. But we had just a very small, limited race package, and I did what I could with the opportunity that was presented.
Hearing you say that, is there any advice you'd give to younger drivers who may be in a similar situation as to where you was a few years ago?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, the way these kids are coming out now with all this experience, I mean, I'm not sure I could tell them anything. They're probably more prepared than I was, for sure. I mean, I got my start really late in professional racing, and especially in NASCAR, as you guys, I'm sure you know. And, these guys that are coming out now, I mean, they were racing in their single-digit years and, with a lot of experience. By the time they get to one of the NASCAR, top 3 touring series, whether it be truck or Xfinity or Cup. And, I'm not sure I could really tell them much of anything. I mean, needless to say, the level of competition goes up exponentially each step, along the way. And, one of the most important things I thought for my debut was to really just get the respect of my peers, my competitors at the Cup level, and, not to do anything stupid, make sure I ran the whole race. I managed to accomplish all that. I just wish I got more of it. But, these kids now, they come out and they're, both guns blazing. They pretty much know what to do. They just need to have the right opportunity to do it. And, this day and age, those opportunities are fewer and farther in between. I mean, when I was racing at that Cup level, there was like 52, 53 cars that showed up at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now, I mean, Cup Series, you're lucky to get 40.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So first off, great to have you on the show. Great to be talking to you. I was going to say face to face, but I guess maybe screen to screen. I guess. So my first ever just NASCAR race in general that I went to was the 2004 Las Vegas 350, and that was back then when the Truck Series raced at Las Vegas. They would have the drivers come through the grandstands and stuff, and you would high five like all the fans and stuff. And I remember seeing you and stuff, and I was like holy crap, dare I say, it's like a black driver. Like, I was like freaking out. I was like, wow, like that's awesome. So I guess what I wanted to ask was, like, what do you think of these other brothers in the series right now? Like, what do you think of Bubba, Jesse Iwuji, Dylan Smith, like all of those guys?
So, I can only really speak to Bubba and to Jesse. I'm not even sure. What's Dylan doing?
He's working. From what I understand, he races late models from time to time, and then but he's more so working inside the industry, I guess you could say.
So yeah, you're kind of giving the impression that he was out there on the track on a regular basis, and I was like, man, if that was the case, I sure missed. No, I mean, obviously Bubba's out there on a regular basis, and so is Jesse. I think it's really fortunate and unfortunate with regard to Darrell's situation. It's fortunate that he's out there, but it's unfortunate that he's not in the right platform from my perspective. Petty Motorsports, great historically. It's, obviously an honor to be racing for the king, but I really just don't think he has the platform to really be successful, even though they have the alliance with RCR. And lately I see both Austin and Ryan doing fairly well. Darrell's not doing the same. And, I just have to think that it's because his budget is not the same as the others in their alliance. You know, I'm not on the inside, I'm on the outside looking in. But when you see, just like this last weekend at Indianapolis, you know, another brake failure, the situation that happened at Pocono with the brake failure, I know it's not as if Bubba doesn't know how to drive. You know, he knows how to drive, but there's something that there's a disconnect somewhere. And I don't know if it's with Drew as crew chief and the communication. I don't know if it's with the platform and the equipment not being quite up to snuff. And it doesn't take much to be off in left field. You know, realize that clearly, that while these cars look the same, underneath that shiny paint job and that skin, you know, there are different things that are just minor and small that can be the difference between racing in the top 10 and racing towards the back. And so it seems to me that he doesn't have everything that's necessary, whether it be equipment-wise, whether it be communication-wise with his team. You know, I don't know. I haven't listened to him on the scanner. I've heard things about how he speaks on the scanner. I heard it's quite an earful, but, you know, I've never listened to him.
Yeah,
but, you know.
Yeah, I'll say there's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect with him and his crew chief. It seems like they're not in harmony. It's like they don't really know how to communicate with one another. And his crew chief, Drew Blickensturfer, does not even have a successful track record to begin with. Anyways, yeah, he won the Daytona 500 with Matt Kenseth, but that same year, I believe they missed the chase. So yeah. I mean, when you miss the chase, and Matt Kenseth is your driver, there's a problem. There has to be a little bit of a problem there. But yeah, and then Bubba re-signs with Petty Enterprises for all the way through 2020, I think. And I was just shaking my head like.
And it's very unfortunate they went ahead and announced that, because it's, of course, nothing's official, but it's looking less and less likely that Mr. Ryan Newman will be in that 31 car next year. And that could have been a good opportunity to maybe get him into maybe a little bit different equipment. But, you know, going off what you guys said there, I think it is important to just for him to be in a cup ride in general, because, you know, he come into the sport roughly around the same time that people like Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney was getting into it. He was in that same NASCAR Next class as them. And obviously he's much further behind than they are at this point in his career. But it's also important to keep them in some kind of ride and keep them in the sport, because there is going to be a time when there is going to be no more Martin Truex Jr.'s, no more Kyle Bushes, no more Kevin Harvick's, and there will be people like Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, and Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, no doubt. So, you know, it's good that he's out there. He's not really, from what I can tell, on a level playing field, and that's going to hurt you, you know. And there's a lot of people that I've seen on social media, just, you know, the boo birds coming out of the woodwork and all that sort of stuff. You know, hey, say what you want to. He's proven that he deserves to be there. He didn't just fall off the turnip truck. He's won races. So he's accomplished. He's good. But you got to, you know, not want for anything. And there's obviously something there that's missing. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I'm on the outside looking in. And as far as Jesse's concerned, you know, I think he's got a great story about coming into the deal late and overcoming all the obstacles that he's had to overcome. I mean, believe me, Darrell's had to overcome his obstacles. I, needless to say, had to definitely overcome a number of obstacles. We don't have enough time to talk about all that. But, you know, something's going on with Jesse's program as well. I mean, you know, it seems like that his, you know, I don't know. I've never watched him race. I've seen Darrell race, but I've never really seen Jesse race. And so I don't know where the disconnect is there, where the problem is there. You know, I hate to think that he just doesn't have what it takes, but maybe that's the case. But, you know, I don't want to think that. I don't want to believe that. You know, I want to believe that he's out there and getting these opportunities to continue to run, because he does have something. I know it's not a chock full of sponsorship, because things like his car is, you know, barely sponsored. So, I mean, it seems like it might also be a resources equation. But, you know, again, I don't know. I mean, I think it's great that these guys are out there. I think that Jesse is very positive in terms of what he conveys and, you know, how he exudes enthusiasm. I think that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, you got to win. You know, I mean, or else you become just, you know, out there. And, you know, so it's hard for me to say. That's almost like throwing stones, because, you know, when I was in NASCAR, you know, all I did was win some poles. I didn't win a race. I came really close. There was a race I should have won at Nashville that got taken out by a teammate, you know, with only a couple laps to go when I was in the lead. Neither one of us won as a result of it. I mean, I'm still mad about that. And that was ages ago. But having said that, you know,
not trying to throw stones over here, but you know.
So anyway, yeah, so I can, Monday morning quarterback with the rest of them.
So you talked a little bit earlier about, we've talked about a lot of young drivers today, and you also mentioned how, you got into racing kind of at a later age compared to especially people who are in the Cup Series now at age 20, 21, 22. And I kind of want to hear your opinion. Do you feel like that's a disadvantage for, drivers like William Byron, who's like 20, or Eric Jones, who is 21, getting these top rides that early? Or do you think it maybe pays, back into the last generation, had a lot of guys like Tony Stewart or Kenseth or Carl Edwards being in their mid to late 20s. Like, do you think some people are getting these opportunities too soon, or how do you kind of feel about the young driver landscape in NASCAR today?
Well, I think there's no going back, quite frankly. The shift in the tide has gone that direction, and, it's hard to unwind all that. If you look at Formula One, it's, they're earlier, and, you look at sports cars, same thing. I think that's going to be the trend. There will be obviously a question of what is too early. And I think the sanctioning bodies do a good job of, ensuring that, guys at 12 years old, kids, I should say, at 12 years old, are coming out here and racing at a professional level. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said about just how soon it makes sense. For William, I mean, he proved that, he could do it in a truck. He can do it in an Xfinity car. I don't know what the heck is going on over here on the Cup side. It seems that, Chase has obviously gained some success, but it took him a couple of years. He didn't do it his first year. He was knocking on the door, but he didn't get it done. It just seems that William, I'm not sure. I mean, you got to see what's going on in the shop. You just got to be in the inside of things to really know what's going on. And, all we can do is speculate and throw out ideas. But no, I mean, I don't know if that Liberty University sponsorship isn't up to snuff. And as a result of that, there's, maybe on-track testing that's missing. Maybe there's some of the latest parts and pieces and components that he doesn't get, that his teammates get. I mean, I don't know. Like I said before, it doesn't take much to be off the mark. And so you really have to be, I think, on the inside, like a fly on the wall, to know what's going on there. I don't think it's a matter of him not having what it takes. But there's something in the whole equation, that thing called chemistry, which allows, these guys to be ultimately successful.
It seems to me that with Hendrick Motorsports, there's always been just 3 of the 4 cars that could get it, but there's always be that one car out. Like 2007, 2008, it was Casey Mears' program that was struggling. From Denny, from 2008 until 2010, it was Dale Jr. who was struggling. There's always been that one car of Hendrick Motorsports that always seems to struggle.
Yeah, look at Casey Kane. He was struggling when he was with Hendrick. I mean, it's like, what happened to Casey Kane? It's like he was doing fine with the Dodge program, and then he came over to Hendrick, and all of a sudden he didn't know how to drive again. So you got maybe some, truth to that statement and that observation. I heard about how they reconfigured Hendrick Motorsports so that all 4 teams are under one roof, but still, there's still competition within that one shop, even though they all are basically under one roof, and supposedly they all go through the same process of being built and what have you. Something's going on there. And I don't know what it is, but I think it's tragic because, William is truly the unsung person in the group. I mean, it's like obviously nowhere near making the chase. And it's not as if Jimmie and Alex knocked it out of the park. I mean, they got there through the skin of their teeth. But, Chase obviously did extremely well, finally won. That's a great thing for NASCAR. And it's the same weekend that NASCAR gets a black eye with regard to what happened at the head. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
We've had our fair share of talk on the show with that one.
Yeah, we have not censored ourselves in any way of how we feel about that little moment.
I got you.
One thing I kind of want to ask is, what propelled you to race in NASCAR? Was it something you wanted to do all along, or is it just the opportunity came and you took it?
It is truly the latter. I had no desire whatsoever to be involved in NASCAR early on. When I first watched racing on TV, I saw some of the races on ABC's Wide World of Sports. That's where races like the Daytona 500 and the Southern 500 were being televised when I was a kid, right? And so I saw a few of those races, and man, I couldn't understand it. I didn't see why anybody want to run around in a circle in 4th gear trying to stay off a concrete wall. I was like, that's not racing. racing is upshift, downshift, turn right, turn left, use the brakes. It's not like dropping into fourth gear and turn left. I just couldn't figure it out. And then needless to say, with all the stars and the bars and the Confederate flags and all that kind of stuff, and, guys that when they were talking, I didn't hardly understand what they were saying. It was really not the most attractive environment. Okay, I'm just going to be real. And so, was NASCAR a destination for me early on? Heavens no. What was attractive to me and sexy to me was sports cars and open wheel Indy cars. And Formula One to some degree, even though I didn't see much of Formula One when I was really young. I mean, the Indy cars and the sports cars is what I thought was cool. It looked like, with regard to the sports cars, is what I liked to see on the street. I loved Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Maseratis and Porsches and stuff like that. So sports cars obviously was an appeal. And Indy cars was obviously an appeal because, the Indy 500 was the greatest spectacle in sports and all that stuff. And, you never missed it every, May. And so my career path in motorsports, I thought, would have led me to either sports cars or open wheel racing. NASCAR came about for me, as I started evaluating the motorsports landscape, and I saw that the place to be was in NASCAR. The person who really was, I think, the catalyst for change was John Andretti. John Andretti was running around in an IndyCar in the early 90s, and I think it was the Pennzoil car. And all of a sudden, he made the jump to NASCAR, and I think everybody in open wheel and sports cars was going, what is he doing that for? But he was kind of like leading the tide. After that, it was just about everybody was trying to get to NASCAR, because as sports cars and open wheel racing started to, break apart, IndyCar became, IRL and, just all the different sanctioning bodies, as well as with sports car racing, and the fact that they went from, IMSA to USRRC to ALMS, and just all the other iterations of the sanctioning bodies. NASCAR stayed tried and true, and it grew. And as a professional driver, you want to be where the action is. You want to be where the spotlight is, where considered the best of the best drivers are, and you can make a name for yourself. Most importantly, make a name for yourself. Even when I was racing, at one point, I was noticing that Scott Pruitt, for example, won everything in sports cars and road racing for years, but didn't have the footprint that somebody running around just even mid-pack in NASCAR was getting. In NASCAR, everybody knew who you were. All the fans knew who you were when you were racing in NASCAR. You could be a champion in sports cars and, people didn't even know who you were, So when I saw what was going on with NASCAR, I wanted to be there, and then I took advantage of an opportunity, which was Dodge's diversity program.
I want to ask kind of a follow-up to that, because what it sounds like is back when you were getting into racing, NASCAR was at its peak in a lot of ways. That's where all the eyeballs were. That's where the best drivers were believed to be. Brad Keselowski has said this year, because NASCAR is proposing an idea of turning a bunch of intermediate tracks into restrictor plate races. And Brad Keselowski, as well as other drivers, has said that he thinks that that's going to drive the best drivers out of NASCAR to other motorsport series. Do you think that's probably true?
Well, I wasn't aware that Brad had said that. It remains to be seen. Needless to say, the popularity of NASCAR has been wavering and waning. I guess it'd be more accurate to say. And I don't know what the solution is in terms of bringing more of a fan base back. Needless to say, the traditional fan base in NASCAR is aged out, right? And also NASCAR in its I'd say heydays, which is the late 90s, mid 2000s. Got to a point where they essentially got too big for their britches, in that the amount of ticket prices and travel and lodging and all the expenses associated with the race made it so that the typical fan couldn't enjoy it anymore. And then you add on to that, these younger drivers that really can't replace the older drivers that the traditional NASCAR fan was rooted into. They didn't know who these, young William Byrons are, and, Daniel Suarez's are, and, just the whole Eric Joneses, they didn't know who these guys were. They didn't come up the way that the traditional fan could identify with as far as their driver was concerned. And then, you look at the proliferation of, manufacturers like Toyota and what that did to the fan base. When you see Dodge leave and Toyota come in, a whole lot of people just said, that's it, I'm done. So what is the answer? To bringing them back. Boy, if I knew the answer to that, I'd be rich.
So as we sort of wind down here, where can people find you online, and is there anything that you're promoting at this time that you might want to let people know about in the chat and watching at home?
Well, I appreciate the question. The fact is that my website, BillLester.com, is woefully old and outdated. I'm actually going to be updating it to reflect more of what I'm doing now, which is getting into speaking. I've done it a lot in the past, and I enjoy motivational speaking. People take a lot out of what my story was and the obstacles that I've had to overcome and the uniqueness of my story in terms of coming into becoming a professional athlete at 40, and going from 40 to 50, which is, period by which most professional athletes are done with their career. So, I speak to a lot of different people that are going through a lot of different things in their lives, and they can gravitate to what I'm saying and take away a lot. So I'm in the process of a revamp right now. I've done a lot of speaking in the past, but it's been really kind of subterranean. So I'm going to make it more mainstream. And I'm also working on a book that is going to be coming out. So it's going to be, I'm not going to talk a lot about it now because I kind of want to do that later. But, just to, again, kind of just tickle whoever's watching. Yeah, that's going to be coming forth as well. But, you can always find me on Twitter. I'm at Bill_Lester, and I'm also on Facebook. So I have a pretty nice social media following, and I kind of make some of my thoughts and my actions and opinions made known and aware on that. So that's probably the best way to stay on top of what I'm up to these days.
Well, Bill, if you haven't considered doing it yet, obviously you're talking about being an inspirational speaker. Take it from a bunch of YouTubers here. It's a good platform to get your stuff out there.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I'll keep that in mind for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for being on. It's an honor, to have your car right here. I've been, a fan. And
it's cool.
You need to find out a way to see if you can maybe plan to get that thing signed sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you have it. I'd be happy to. As a matter of fact, about a month ago, this lady sent me about 4 of my waste management die-casts. I was blown away. I mean, I'm like, 12 years out of having done that in 2006? She shows up with 4 die-casts. I was like, man, NASCAR fans are unbelievable.
So might have to get some information from there later, Jarrett.
Yeah. Right. But thank you so much for being on. It's an honor to have you on, and you're more than welcome to come on any other time if you'd like.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. I enjoy hanging out with you guys.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Take care.
Take care, Bill.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now, Darian, who are we having next?
All right, so really quick announcement. I completely apologize for this. I dropped the ball with this. Dylan Smith, we had a bit of miscommunication with the times. We live in different time zones and stuff. I thought I set the right time there. Unfortunately, he won't be able to come on. We did reschedule though. He will be on my channel. When I get my streaming back, he will be on the channel sometime in October. So just wanted to apologize for that. Yeah, we were just talking about that while we had Bill on. So yeah, my apologies there. But I'm about to send the link to Neal Reid right now, my PR boss.
Well, we will miss Dylan tonight, but obviously there is a lot to talk about going into this week, so it does open up a little bit more time for us.
Well, and you're back this week. That's something to talk about.
Right. Actually, this is the first time in a while we've had all 4 of us on a stream in a while.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh man, I've rooted for him the early years I was a fan and stuff, even listening to the scanner. So it's really cool to be able to talk to him in person,
I had to say something there, or else you'd have missed your chance to get that thing signed, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got each other's emails now, so.
All right. So I just sent the link to him, and he should be on shortly.
Yeah, and then there's a ton of stuff to talk about tonight. Stuff with DiBenedetto, Rockingham news, Caton, the Casey Kane news, hurricane relief at Charlotte, Alonso, Hamlin controversy, playoff predictions. We got a stacked show on top of what we all already do. So
before we get to it, do you want to kind of preface, Darian, who our guest, who Neal is, and why? Yeah, so because I've seen a lot of people in the chat asking who he is, and I just maybe give a little backstory before he gets here.
Yeah, so as you guys know, I'm an intern at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I just started last month, and Neal Reid is my PR boss. I'm working in the PR department, so I've had the opportunity to experience some things that otherwise I wouldn't have. But But yeah, it's just been a overall just a great experience so far, and we're gonna be really busy this weekend. So
Yeah, I would think so. With it being race weekend, that's actually something I'm a little intrigued with. We'll try not to get you in trouble with your boss.
all right.
So since we got a little bit of extra time here, yeah, I'm back and new place. I still haven't got everything finished in all parts of the place here, but once it is, I'll probably do like a setup video, kind of like what Eric did for his new place. But so far, I'm liking it here in good old, just call it Nashville. It's not really Nashville, but close enough.
I like the setup though. I like the neon case you have there behind you, or whatever that's supposed to be. That's some intense stuff right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is where all of my 164s go now. I got that I found it dang on the Facebook Marketplace for $30.
Wow, nice. Looks like you still got a couple shelves though to fill out. So
yeah, I think
room to grow.
Gosh, this thing can probably hold over 100 cars, but it ain't got it ain't got 100 on it yet. I've got like, so here, it's rows of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a lot.
Danny B count.
Hey, breaking news! Breaking news! Trevor Bayne out of the 6 car in 2019.
Oh,
I've been saying that for months.
Nick said it. I had to be sure and look it up. It's not that I don't trust you. I just need to be sure.
Rest in peace. This 6 of Trevor Bayne right here.
Yeah, because I'm looking on here and it's different stuff is saying it. So
it's looking. I've seen stuff. It's looking likely that Newman will be in that car next year.
I've heard a rumor
that downgrade.
I heard a rumor that Newman was going there, but I also heard from on that same report that a lot of RCR people are confident he's going to stay. Now I know that's RCR people saying that, so it could mean nothing. But I'm definitely not surprised to see Trevor Bayne gone. I heard when they initially announced the Matt Kenseth thing, I was digging everywhere and anywhere for any sort of news about that deal. And I'd heard from several people that Trevor Bayne was gone at the end of this year. I'm surprised they waited this long to announce it, to be honest.
Isn't the 32 a Ford team?
It is.
That's I'm doing a big thank on that one.
Yeah, DiBenedetto the 6. When he announced that he was leaving the 32, my first thought was the 6 because they're not. I don't think they're affiliated with each other, but it is a Ford team. And he said in his statement, we'll talk about this, I guess, a little bit later, a little more. But he mentioned taking a big risk. Now I don't know if that risk is just I'm getting out of this contract without having another contract lined up. That might be the risk. But in my opinion, maybe the risk is going to a team that it's a big name but isn't really a big performer these days. That could be the risk he's talking about. But yeah, I don't know. That'll be fun to discuss.
A lot of people were thinking him in the 41. I don't quite say the 41.
I think the 41 is going to go to a young driver. I think it's going to go to an unproven, a Cole Custer type, or somebody who has not seen any or very little Cup Series action. I think that just seems to be the trend. All the big teams are, I don't want to say downgrading, but they kind of are. They're going for the cheaper option. That's why I'm a little surprised that we might see Truex go to the 19. That's a little surprising to me, but
I mean, they were talking about even last year and the year before about how drivers and teams, have to adjust, that they're gonna be getting younger, cheaper drivers to cut costs. I mean, there's with someone like Kurt Busch might ask for $1 million per race salary, let's say, whereas someone like Cole Custer would be like $250,000 isn't bad at all.
Oh, it's much less than that, I'm pretty sure. Wait, are you saying per race?
I'm just making an example.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
But
it's
like
$1 million per race. Holy dang.
But I'm just saying that they probably could get 25%.
Darian looks like he's concerned.
He's got his mic off. It looks like he's...
No, actually, I have Neal Reid on the phone right now. He doesn't have a Gmail account, unfortunately, so we had to do it through the phone and stuff. So yeah, Neal, it's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a Gmail account one time, but I couldn't tell you the password if my wife depended on it. But hopefully this will work.
I think it works well.
Just to make sure you can hear, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, he can.
Okay, good.
You don't have to move the phone from there because I can hear him when he's talking right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're interviewing you the same way we interviewed Bobby Allison, so we're completely cool with this. All right, so welcome to the show. I guess I'll ask the first question really quick. You guys have a second race now this year. What is sort of the challenges and changes that you guys have to deal with going into having 2 races a year instead of 1?
It was kind of in and out there. It was a little hard to hear that one.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me turn it up really quick. Okay. Ask your question again.
I just ask, what are the challenges and changes for having 2 races a year now instead of 1? And how has that changed how you prepare for this race?
Yeah, it definitely changes, the way our summer plays out. In years past, it was a little bit of a slower summer, especially since we take 7 weeks off at the short track because of the extreme heat. And so summer was always kind of a slow time here, a time when people would take vacations and things. But our summer was a lot busier, especially with South Point being title sponsor of the Cup race. They've been very instrumental in planning everything, and we've had a lot of meetings throughout the summer. So there's been a lot more preparation, more involvement with NASCAR. We're kicking off the playoffs and have a Truck Series playoff race, and we're finishing the regular season for the Xfinity Series. There's a lot more moving pieces, it seems like, and so it's been a lot of preparation, a lot of meetings. And from our standpoint, having the dirt track race also added a lot of responsibility and a lot of planning meetings and logistical meetings, things like that. So we've had a very busy summer.
Hearing you talk about the dirt track there at Las Vegas, a lot of casual NASCAR fans who may be playing NASCAR Heat 3 are getting maybe their first really experience with the dirt track over there. Like a lot of people maybe didn't even know you guys had that over there.
Yeah, Darian was telling me that the dirt track's featured on that game, and that's really cool. Yeah, it's one of our little hidden gems here on property. We've got 9 tracks here, and the dirt track's a half-mile dirt oval, and this year we'll have 3 events there. We had the Outlaws there in late February, early March, and we'll have Jewel in the Desert for the IFC Modifieds in November. And then the K&N Series West cars are going to go on dirt for the first time here. So we're excited about helping them make history and kind of showcasing the dirt track to the rest of the country and the racing world. And it'll be on NBC Sports Network on September 21st. I think 2:30 Eastern. So people all over will be able to see our little dirt track.
Hearing you say that, I've been kind of positioning with the idea. I wouldn't mind seeing a second Truck Series dirt race. That might be a good option to look to.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting this year, that's for sure. A lot of drama towards the end, great finish. And maybe we'll have the same thing here tomorrow night. I know they've been out there practicing, and I think they've got a practice session still going on right now, so they're trying to figure out how those cars handle on dirt and see what lines they can take through each of the turns. It's going to be an interesting night over there tomorrow night.
Well, just make sure you put our boy Darian to work over there and let him just watch cars go around the circle the whole time.
Oh, yeah, we'll keep him busy. There's always a lot going on behind the scenes, and we'll be kind of running all over the place and already have been this week, getting ready and making sure that the events go off without a hitch. And there's always something going on behind the curtain, so to speak. So there's always something to do.
So really quick, so we've had conversations about this, but I think a lot of the younger fans are gonna they're definitely gonna look forward to your answer probably. Just what do you think of the NASCAR playoffs?
Well, I grew up as a traditional NASCAR fan. The whole format. And, I enjoyed that. Where you reward the most consistent driver over the course of the year. And, I understand people on the other side saying, well, there were some times where there might be 7 races left and there's nothing going on. And as far as drama for the championship's already decided. And I'm kind of on the fence a little bit about it. I love March Madness and the bracket style, any bracket style tournament. And now working at a track, and knowing and market an event. You know, if you're a racetrack and championship's already decided and you've got a race coming up, it's a lot harder to market your event. So from a facility standpoint, the track standpoint, those guys, you know, they probably might have felt shafted in the past, or at least challenged to try to, you know, get people in the stands and market their event. So, yeah, we're excited to be kicking off the playoffs and get you something to hang your hat on. So yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence about it. I think I can see both perspectives.
Safe to say that maybe you were less of a fan of the playoffs before this year.
That is probably, yeah, that's pretty true. Now, so, you know, the PR guy in me comes out a little bit, but yeah, you know, I think consistency should be rewarded, and I think too, you know, you might have a wild card that gets in the top four and ends up winning, but I think most people realize this year it's probably going to be the big three and maybe, you know, someone else, you know, the other quote unquote wild card, and you know, maybe that driver wins in Homestead, but you know, the chances are pretty good it's going to be one of the big three. But you know, the good thing, I guess the exciting thing about being part of the playoffs right now, where you got technically 16 guys with a chance, is that, you know, if they win here, once they're picking the next round, it might, you know, Vegas might be a springboard to Homestead and maybe a championship. So you never know.
Well, one thing that I kind of got choked up there. One thing I've been talking about is, and it plays into something we'll be doing later on the show, talk about our predictions for the playoffs. I feel like, you know, Las Vegas and Richmond and Roval's a little bit different story, but most of the early tracks I feel does favor into the big three. It's those tracks in the round of 8 that I feel are going to really be where things could get shook up from where people would just assume would happen.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the most compelling part of the playoffs. You know, seeing how things play out at the Roval and some of the other, you know, tracks that are different size and configuration and things like that. So there's a lot of variables that are going to be, you know, like you said, in the round of 8. I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
As someone who works, you know, over at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, you know, we're going to give our picks later in the show for this weekend's race, but I think you might have your pick might have the most merit behind it. So, can I ask who's your pick to win this opening playoff race this weekend?
Well, I wrote a press release today after I got the odds from South Point Sportsbook in Beaton, their sports betting arm. Harvick is the favorite. You know, he dominated here in March, and it's really hard to go against him. I mean, there's some other guys that are pretty low odds, and of course, you know, Kyle Busch and Mark Truex Jr. and guys like that, Kyle Larson. Of course, Keselowski's hot coming into this week, and he's won here twice before. So I'd say Harvick's the favorite, but I would not be surprised if any of those other guys I just mentioned end up in victory lane.
All right, so yeah, we have some limited time here and stuff. I know you got to get home and stuff, so I just wanted to ask the panel any last questions before we let him head out.
Oh yeah, how much trouble is Darian?
Well, he's already wrecked a company car and destroyed a computer in the office. No, kidding. He's done a good job for us. He's, I think, learning every week and has been able to see, you know, what goes on in a racetrack office and kind of see a little bit how professional sports works and the planning of events. And he's been at the bull ring with me at the short track to see how that event management, you know, goes there. He's eager. Obviously, has a huge NASCAR knowledge base. That's a great foundation, and so we're happy to have him. And we're going to put him to work this week. So don't keep him out too late tonight. He's got work at 8 in the morning. So we're going to put him to work.
We'll make sure not to.
All right, Neal. It was great to have you on and stuff. And I'll see you at, what was it, 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow in the media center?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, so he'll be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Gotcha.
8 o'clock Pacific. 8 o'clock Pacific.
All right, Neal. Thanks for coming on tonight. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. You have a good one. All right, bye.
I just realized I waved as if he could see me waving.
That's an interesting perspective to get. You know, you don't think of the behind the scenes stuff as much with these tracks.
Just like a few weeks back, we had the guy on from Bristol Motor Speedway. You know, I like hearing from those kind of perspectives. And quick shout out. We talk about people who have different kind of perspectives. Someone who we've had on us with us in the past has a unique perspective. Something unique of him. He lives in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Dalen Barr is evacuating there along with many others. A close personal friend of mine is working with a hotel over there. She is having to evacuate back here to Tennessee with her family. And it's that the big hurricane that's coming in. That is a big cause of concern. I feel like it's a good way to transition to that subject.
Yeah, and I think another thing I saw yesterday, my dad's one of those people that still actually watches the Weather Channel. And on the bottom line, they said that Charlotte Motor Speedway is opening up its campgrounds for evacuees and people to sort of take shelter inside the track. So I think that's something that really should be highlighted. That's something that, you know, NASCAR in the past has been very good at when it comes to doing the right thing in situations like this. And I think that, you know, this is no different whatsoever. And I think that it should be applauded and commended.
And I'll be honest with you, I believe if you're too last second, that might be the best option to go with, but I still feel like Charlotte is in a pretty bad area with the storm coming. And if you want to evacuate even further, Tennessee may be better. Bristol Motor Speedway, from what I understand, is doing the same thing.
In the chat, 03 The King says that Talladega is also doing it. So
a lot of these tracks are opening up. It'll be interesting how Charlotte handles this, because if people come in there, I don't know how quick that they'll be ready to leave, and they have a race there in a couple weeks.
Yeah, they'll have to be set up.
Which is
2 weeks from now, I think, wouldn't it be? Yeah, 2 weeks from now, they'd have to have people in. So they'll have to work logistics hell.
We don't know. I don't know of any other tracks besides Charlotte, Bristol, and Talladega, but I would not be surprised. There's been a lot of talks, and we'll get into the subject a little bit more later, with a lot of talks of the new owners of Rockingham being willing to bring the track back. Rockingham Speedway may open up as well. So I don't know. Keep an eye on them.
Thank goodness I live in Vegas, away from all that mess. We don't got anything like that going on here.
You just got 100 degrees of hell out there, so
I prefer it. I prefer it over Florida heat or Southern heat. I'll tell you that.
Even Midwestern, man, you're probably getting. You know, this weekend's going to be 100 degrees dry heat. It's not going to be like humidity and everything.
I like dry heat.
Another thing that
it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I saw in the chat was asking about Richmond, because that race is coming up too. And if the rain and everything, seeing how the hurricane looks like it's going to be stalling out, that I think that you have to also look at, you know, they're going to have to be opening up their track within a day or two, you know, with fans that usually will come earlier and stuff. Or not a day or two, a week. Would it be a week, I think. So maybe they're going to have a problem.
Maybe perhaps you wouldn't have to worry about Richmond so much, because from what it looks like, the storm's going to come up, basically dance at the edge of North Carolina. The storm's going to be so huge it will go into North Carolina and hit them pretty hard. But basically, the eye of the storm is going to float right at the edge of the shore, and it's going to shift back out and do a direct hook into South Carolina and do a direct hit on them from what the models show on it. Now, of course, models can always be wrong, but I think by the time it gets up into Richmond, it might just be more like a tropical depression at that point.
Well, it's still, I mean, it's going to be raining a lot, and they're going to have to, I mean, depending on how long that goes, you have to start thinking about when do you reschedule? Let's say if it rains till Wednesday, you know, do you just run it on Wednesday or Thursday? So I think that's something that's going to be really interesting to keep track of. I think that, you know,
maybe perhaps if anyone needs to evacuate that far, maybe Martinsville might communicate with Richmond in order to do something better for the Virginia area.
The problem with Martinsville is that it's literally on the bottom of 2 hills, so it's gonna that'll flood. But we can keep track of that as that sort of progresses. But I think for now, what about Indy this week? What did everyone think of that race?
Xfinity Series produces a great show. Their aero package, I don't like to call it the All-Star package because it's not the All-Star package. It's something entirely different. That is ideally the best package to put on a good product of racing up there at Indy. The Cup race, better than I expected. I think Xfinity Series better show, but Cup race, I'll take it. It wasn't a big 3 domination like I thought it would be.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting that the last 2 weeks now since that off weekend that the big 3 have not been that good, or have really been just like 5th place to 8th place cars. Yeah, but no, I thought it was a good race. I would give it at least an 8 out of 10, even for an Indy race. It was close to a 10 out of 10, I would say. But I don't know. It's not the fact that the big 3 didn't dominate that I liked about it. I liked that there was, there was enough cautions that allowed for a lot of interesting pit strategy. Now, the only caution that was a little annoying was the very end one that kind of, made that last restart a big deal, and it basically handed Keselowski the win at that point, which is kind of frustrating. But, you can – I think given all the crap we gave Indianapolis last week, I think we should feel pretty good. Or at least I felt pretty good Sunday afternoon after that race, just knowing that it was a good show. And then, later I do want to talk a little bit more about the Xfinity race because I didn't get to see it, but from what I've heard, it was really exciting, and I want us to talk about that too. But what were your thoughts, Darian? Sorry I interrupted you.
No, I interrupted you. My bad. Man, that Xfinity race, obviously, it was going to be the best race of the weekend. I didn't even know they were running that package again there. So it was great to see that. And, that battle for stage 1 and stuff, it was pretty entertaining seeing John Hunter Nemechek win stage 1. And just that whole race was pretty entertaining and stuff. And also just an all-guyer triggered a few IndyCar fans after the race as well. If you were on Twitter and stuff, because he did a burnout on the bricks there. We'll probably get into that later.
I have opinions that both conflict and agree with many people.
I mean, also the Cup race, it wasn't really all that good, but it wasn't as bad as people thought it'd be. So, I mean, I was ready to give this race a 2-1 or a 2 out of 10, but I'll give it a 4. But I mean, that finish, I have to agree with what Jarrett sent me. A 4 out of 10 race with an 8 out of 10 finish. I'd have to agree with that.
I adjusted it a little.
And Jeffrey Earnhardt, for the second week in a row, affects the outcome of the race, which gives the win to Brad Keselowski. And I don't know, we'll probably get into more on how on what Hamlin said and stuff. We will, but I mean the race, I didn't really have that many expectations for it, or that high of expectations for it. It happened on a Monday too, and I have class on Monday, so I just took my laptop and was just watching it while class was going on. So, I was also keeping track of the notes and stuff as well. But I don't know, I didn't really miss anything other than the finish. But I. Still all for them just taking the Brickyard off the schedule and for going to IRP or some other short track, somewhere more entertaining. And then also Brad Keselowski did the same thing as Justin Allgaier did. So David Lamb was not a happy camper with that.
Yeah, I like David, and he's definitely invited back on in the future. But this might be a good stream to not have him on with us tonight.
If I give my opinion of the race, I think a few people got a little upset with my opinion because I've changed it a little. I don't think it was a 4 out of 10 race. I don't think it was the worst race of the season. That's what I thought it would be. So in that case, it has exceeded expectations. I think it's a 4.5 out of 10 race. I think that the racing itself, not that good. The strategy and seeing how that was all playing out is what kept me interested. I will agree there. I think the strategy adds a lot to it, and I think that's something that was sorely missing the last few years. But I'd say a 4.5 out of 10 race with probably an 8 to 8.5 out of 10 finish. The finish was really entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat watching. You know, I was invested. And I will say the race kept me invested. You know, I think part of that was the fact that it had an underdog up there that was running really well until about their pit crew screwed up with Matt Kenseth, because
that's right. He won stage 2. I forgot.
That kept me so invested. I was like, oh my God, Matt Kenseth might actually win this race.
He had the best car in that race.
He did. He
I don't know how. I don't know what they put in there. I don't know if they didn't take him to the R&D center, but he probably would have failed post race. But
I'll tell you what they put in there. They took Trevor Bayne out and put Kenseth in. That's all they needed.
I'd like to think that's all they did, but no, that car was out of this world for some reason.
Perhaps that had something to do with this final decision that we've heard tonight. Maybe. Just saying the fact that there is some kind of competitive nature to that car still. Maybe that was enough just to know what to do.
Maybe. No, yeah, the Matt Kenseth story was great. I mean, as a Matt Kenseth fan, I was like loving 80% of that race. And I think maybe I'll be 100% honest. And I noticed this after I made my Out of the Groove reaction to the race. I realized in hindsight that I think I like this race. I'm giving this race like an 8 or 9 out of 10. And I think realistically, if not for Kenseth, I would have given it a 7 out of 10. So I'll admit my bias there. I think I definitely am a little biased, but Matt Kenseth had easily a top 2 or 3 car in that race. Was likely going to win if not for not going to win. I shouldn't say was likely going to win, but he would have finished top 5 if not for his pit crew. So that was disappointing, but it was very fun to see.
Never would I ever think in my years as a NASCAR fan that I would call Matt Kenseth an underdog. It's still weird to say. Matt Kenseth, an underdog? Like, but I get it, but
wash your mouth up, so boy.
Excuse my Larry Mack or Mike Joy here, but it was a Matt Kenseth race. He started a little further back, and before you knew it, it's like, oh wow, Matt Kenseth's in the top 5. Like that. There's so many races I've watched before where I'll be watching, and it's like Gordon or Johnson or Boyer, Stewart, whoever is up there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, Matt Kenseth's in 3rd right now and is the fastest car out there. Like it was like a blast from the past, and I just wish that it had the crew not screwed up there. With that caution, who knows what could have happened? He had a better car than Keselowski and Hamlin, in my opinion.
He was at least equal to him.
He can only do so much. I was watching that race, and I was hearing it on my Bluetooth, and I was just like, really? Like, you guys had you had a golden ticket there, and you just threw it away. Pretty much. Simple as that.
I must say, I think one car that seemed better, but he messed up on the restart was Clint Bowyer.
Oh, yeah, I know. It was his race. That was his race. But then Jeffrey Earnhardt changed that.
I will say of the overall race of Brickyard 400s I've seen, it's probably been the best one since 2014 when Jeff Gordon won. 2015, I think we all remember, was awful. 2016, I was pretty bored with that, but I will also admit my bias there. That probably was because Dale Jr. wasn't in it. 2017, that was a demolition derby. That wasn't really a race.
It went from being entertaining to being like, this is too much even for me. And I like some races.
I was like, I just want this race to end. This is like,
I was sitting at dinner like, oh wow, they wrecked again. It's like, aren't they racing at Indianapolis? I'm like, yeah.
I had plans to go do stuff that evening, but then it's like this race is taking so long.
I told you guys last week. I was in Florida, on vacation. I'm like, I want to go enjoy my vacation, but I was invested.
I was on vacation in Chicago, and it was I was sitting in the restaurant.
The most Chicago accent.
I purposely did it. Yeah, I would have a heart attack.
I was just laughing. This race was just becoming a meme at this point.
That race was about to give me a heart attack.
Okay, stop. That's enough.
I will say this. Them being so lucky that the last 2 races have been somewhat exciting is what's going to keep saving them dates.
No, when it's time to change the schedule, please just do us all a favor and just
go to IRP.
Yeah, go to IRP or just any other short track in general. Just anywhere but Indianapolis.
This delays the inevitable.
They'll just be pack racing there next year.
See, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping on the schedule if they just go ahead and do a second time at Indy for the short track, but that's just me.
the thing that people keep bringing up, and I have a little problem with it, is everyone's like, just do it on the road course. I hate the idea that every track that we have that sucks, let's just do a road course instead. Let's not actually try and fix the problem. Let's just go to a road course. I hate that mentality. Like I want to see how the Roval does, and I think it can be implemented a little more, but I don't think this should be our a lot of NASCAR fans. Yeah, it shouldn't be the standard and the knee-jerk reaction. It's like, oh God, we had a bad race at Michigan. Let's do the road course.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just avoiding the problem rather than just solving the aero issues that the sport currently has right now. So I'd rather solve it.
Yeah, I mean, do we have really anything else that we have really to say about it? I mean,
Brad Keselowski winning, that's 2 majors he's won in a row. That's pretty good point. Good for him.
And he's just been kind of just there all season. Now he's got 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, he's all of a sudden become a Final Four contender. Like nobody was really talking about that a few weeks ago.
That we can't just knock Brad out.
And also, this was funny to me. Michael Waltrip said, "This is the first time anyone's won like 2 crown jewel races in a row." And my reaction was, "No, there's never been 2 in a row." like duh.
That's funny. That's a good point.
Oh, Michael blessing us with this great insight. God, I will. And the thing we know with Keselowski is between the bonus points and how well he runs at Talladega, he's going to be in at least the round of 8. Like, there's no way that I can see him getting eliminated this coming round. I don't think any really major stars are going to get eliminated this coming round. And I'm not going to go into the prediction yet, but you got Talladega. He owns that place now. Junior's gone. Gordon's gone. Stewart's gone. He's the best plate racer out there. Maybe his teammate might have something to say about it, but then you look at it, those 2 will be 1-2. So, I mean, he's just racked up, possibly a ticket to Homestead with this win.
And I also realized that the top 4 from last year's Final Four is they're currently the top 4 this year, right now.
Yep.
So, just saying.
To the top.
The big 3, as we call them, have been 3 of the 4. 2 times that we have done this. At least one of those 3 has always been in it, and we could do the same this year, but I'm not sure if it's going to be that way this year. We'll get into that more later, though.
I'll call it the big 2 now. Truex it's not big 3, it's big 2.
I think it's interesting that we've had 4 years of this knockout. Wait, is this? Yeah, this is the 5th year of this playoff format. Yeah, this is the 5th year of this playoff format. The 4 previous years, 3 of the championships have been won by the current big 3. Jimmie Johnson's the only one in there that who he won 2016. So it's interesting that this is. I mean, obviously the playoffs haven't happened yet this year, but maybe something about this strategy of win early, get those bonus points is playing to their favor. I don't really think it means anything. It is interesting to me. This is the era. The 2010s are the Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. era. And that's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I would agree. Because I mean, you look back at the 2. I think you can sort of split every decade in half, and you see dominant people. So like this part of the decade, it's gonna be those 3 guys. Like that's what it's gonna be remembered for. I think 2010 to 15. I think you could put I think
throw Johnson in there.
I would think that 2010 to 15 is actually one of the more harder to pinpoint, because that's Johnson won 2 of the titles in those years, but at the same time, between the changing of format and the fact that he did fall off a bit, I think that we kind of got spoiled and didn't realize how good we had it those years. But you can just sort of pinpoint in all that time. Even you go back to the 90s, you have the Earnhardt era at the start of it, you have the Gordon era at the end of the 90s, and I think that when we look back, as much as I don't like 2 of the big 3, I'm going to appreciate how good they were, at least.
I've been saying that for months. Like, I don't know, like everyone's like complaining, the same guys win all the time and stuff, but like
it does get repetitive. I'll admit that, and I see where they're coming from.
I've never seen I've never seen a season where recent champions from like the past 3-4 years are just winning this much at the same time. By the way,
I'll compare it to other sports, even though I don't like doing that with NASCAR too much. It's kind of like how people in the NBA, they're like, we all know it's going to be LeBron versus the Warriors.
Not this year.
Or in college football, you just guarantee Alabama's going to be in a championship.
Yeah, it's kind of like that where you're like, oh, for the love of God, get someone new in. It's like, would you really think in 2010, yeah, in 8 years, we're going to wish Jimmie Johnson made the Final Four?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, I mean, it all changes, and I think it'll be seen a little more warmly over time. But, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. You think should head on over to Vegas real quick?
Sure. Are we doing predictions now for Vegas?
Or did we want to talk about something else real fast? So I heard you talk about Jimmie Johnson. It reminds me of some little teaser we've been seeing.
Yeah. You go ahead and say it. You were the one that showed us, so.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of thought this when I first seen that Fernando Alonso had followed Jimmie Johnson on Twitter. I was like, there's something up with this. Now I don't know if it for sure means this. They realistically could do something like what we saw with Tony Stewart a few years ago when they kind of did that little promotional, like changing rides up. But
him and Lewis Hamilton, right?
Yeah. But Jimmie Johnson and Fernando Alonso have put out a little a well-made production video of each other, hinting that something is coming specifically involving those drivers. Now it could be something like a ride switch just for fun, or it could potentially be that we might see a 5 or 25 car at Daytona for a one-off.
Or here's me really throwing out the speculation fishing line here, really looking for something.
Here we go.
What if November 19th, the day after Homestead, Jimmie Johnson comes out on stage and announces his retirement, and Fernando Alonso walks up behind
Oh my God!
No, come on.
Wearing a Red Bull. Like Red Bull for Fernando Alonso makes more sense. That's always been the speculation. Red Bull's going to sponsor the 48. He comes out in the fire suit, you know.
They can't. Monster's still a sponsor. They can't.
I've heard the Monsters lightened their rules a little bit, but who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I'm going to take that theory and run with it and say that if Jimmie Johnson has pull in NASCAR, he could get anything happen for him if it involves keeping him in the sport. Maybe Red Bull does come free for Jimmie, but at Daytona we see the 48 Red Bull and 25 Red Bull and for one-off.
I think your speculation is probably more accurate. I think this would be awesome if it means Fernando Alonso is going to run a Daytona 500 in Hendrick equipment.
I would not see a full season with him, but I could see a Daytona 500 in a Hendrick car. He would be competitive.
Oh yeah, Daytona Danica was competitive her first year there. Like you can, I don't mean to.
If Danica can do it, then he can do it.
It came out really rude, but my point is he's an open wheel driver who came to stock cars and was immediately competitive at Daytona. So I like it'd be. From what I've heard, Alonso's been testing IndyCar cars. That makes it sound like he's going to go there full time.
He does seem like he wants to go do that more full time, but I could definitely see the 5 or the 25 for one race at Daytona.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be awesome.
And it would make sense if Red Bull is going to come in off Jimmie to just sponsor 2 cars for that one and that one only.
Yeah, I mean, he's chasing history here. You know what I mean? Like, if he does run the 500, I don't know if he will. I think they're just going to do that whole driver swap thing that Gordon and Montoya did a long time ago. But if he does, I could see him winning the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500 in the same year. That's never been done. That has been done before, hasn't it?
It's been done, but it's never been. Did you say win? Nobody's ever won those.
In the same year. In the same year.
Kurt Busch did it.
Real quick comment here.
No, one, not run.
One.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought you said, but I was making sure. Okay, yeah.
Verizon Guy 12 said something here. It can't happen since the 5th car is not allowed at all. That's not true. A fifth car can be run a maximum of 5 races.
I would be the negative Nelly here. It's probably a driver swap just for like a thing like Stewart and Hamilton did, Gordon and Montoya did. I want it to be him racing. I do, but I think realistically, if he's going to Indy and if he's taking it seriously, he's going to be putting all his time and effort when it comes to improving on a form of driving into IndyCar. I hope he runs the 500. That'd be really awesome, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I think I'm going to be the most negative of all of us here. So nothing's changed in the last week.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Another thing that could be fun, I don't know if it's going to happen this way, but What if you see a team get together and those two are part of a four-car team? Those two are part of a four-driver team for the Rolex 24. What if that happens?
That'd be pretty badass.
That'd be pretty cool.
Badass.
I'm thinking
awesome.
It could have something to do with a new sponsorship unveil. And this is me being positive and also more realistic is, Jimmie Johnson's been all this talk about getting a new sponsor for the next year or two. And now Fernando Alonso needs a new IndyCar sponsor. And we've seen, sponsors, Napa sponsors Alexander Rossi and Chase Elliott. We could see a big name sponsor maybe show up and their whole tagline could be like, we sponsor champions or something like that. And they could go sponsor him in IndyCar and Johnson in NASCAR. I feel like that's also a real possibility. So I don't know who's funding this, where this is going to come from, but maybe that's what it's going to build up to.
Darian, you need to talk to your friend Alan Bestwick and see if he knows anything about this stuff. Like he knows any more than we do.
Yeah, I know.
Get to it, man.
I was actually planning on talking to him again tomorrow about a possible appearance. So yeah, I'll ask him that.
He's definitely one that we know his situation is pretty much locked until the new year, but new year, all things seem to be on the table for him.
So maybe we shouldn't shift too quickly from Indianapolis. At least talk about some of the news this past week. Let's talk about the burning out on the bricks. So I want to have your guys' ideas on that.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't like. At first, I was like, who cares? Like, it's been done before and stuff. I mean, you race on the bricks and then you wreck on the bricks sometimes and stuff. And I think Kyle Busch even did it like a while back too. But David Land, he actually sent me an article and stuff, and people didn't like that at the time. I don't even remember that one. But I just thought it was funny on Twitter. Like, as soon as David Land was like tweeting about that stuff, like people were like going on like their NASCAR games and just doing burnouts. I thought that was something.
I did think the trolling was
the trolling was spectacular.
That I will admit,
I like that. But let's just say I was an IndyCar fan, just an IndyCar fan. I get what they're saying. I get their frustration with that. NASCAR. I mean, we've been saying this for a while, and this was just said in Jarrett's like his other video he uploaded last week on Devil's Advocate. NASCAR is basically riding the coattails of another like motorsports history there. Like, I mean, I don't think we should race there anymore and stuff, but I do agree. It's in bad taste. It's in bad taste though. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't meant as an act of disrespect, but it's still in bad taste.
I 100% agree with you entirely. I think it wasn't. I don't think it was intentional because personally, I'd never heard that it was disrespectful to touch the bricks during your burnouts. That when they freaking slobber on it after they win, they drive over it for 400 miles. Like, I don't understand how that's necessarily disrespectful. So I didn't know about it. Obviously I'm not in tune. I'm not in the garage area every week. So maybe Kyle Busch should know about it or Brad Keselowski, whoever won this week, should know about it. But if I didn't know about it, chances are they didn't know about it either. That being said, I can understand where IndyCar fans would be a little frustrated with NASCAR kind of, desecrating their sacred space. Imagine if IndyCar came to Daytona and started running the races clockwise instead of counterclockwise. NASCAR fans would be like, oh, maybe. But now, I feel like a lot of NASCAR fans would be like, what are they doing at a Daytona? That's not how Daytona works. So I don't know. I can understand it. I
don't know. I don't think that's the same thing, though. I get what you're saying. That's not the same thing.
I think there's been far worse. The first thing that comes to my mind was 2009. Kyle Busch took the guitar that Sam Bass put his heart and soul into designing for Nashville Super Speedway, and he smashed it. His intention was to smash it and give it to his pit crew. And while I get that, I see where that makes sense to do something like that. That was still probably a lot more disrespectful than what happened this weekend.
Right. The take I'd get, and I think a lot of NASCAR fans, it's not that they disrespect Indianapolis. I think a lot of them, especially younger ones, they're not as aware of some of the history and whatnot, and sort of what it really means to a lot of IndyCar fans. I would say, as a Cubs fan, I know a lot of people see Wrigley Field and they're like, why do they have a bunch of weeds on the wall, right? But it's like, it's the ivy. You grow like a Cubs fan, you grow up, oh, there's ivy on the wall. It's part of the tradition. Doing what Brad Keselowski burning out on the bricks is sort of the equivalent to is if we had a basketball game, let's say they set up a basketball court in Wrigley Field, and LeBron James goes and tears a bunch of ivy down when he's frustrated or something, or if he's celebrating, he accidentally and he tears it down. A lot of basketball fans aren't going to see that as disrespectful. They're just going to see like, that's what happens, Whereas Cubs fans and a lot of traditionalist baseball fans are going to see it and be like, "Are you serious? Like, what the hell?" And it's the same. It's the same thing. Do I think Brad Keselowski and Allgaier, do I think they did it intentionally? No, I think that especially someone like Brad Keselowski, who respects the sport and respects motorsports history in general, I don't see him being the person who's gonna be like, "I'm gonna burn out on the bricks." There was, I think it was Kevin Harvick in 2003. It might not have been him, might have been someone else, but he did a burnout. One of them did a burnout on the bricks, and Indy was really mad about it and issued like, "Don't do that."
Here, I'm gonna
hard as hell to get rubber off the bricks. I mean, and to think also that it represents a tradition that's over 100 years old.
Hey, Jared,
it's all
Jared, I'm going to screen share. Do you mind presenting me real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to shout out a comment too really quick. Alan in the chat said, "I'd be way more offended if IndyCar raced at Darlington and nobody got a Darlington stripe."
I mean,
funny.
Look at this right here. 2010, Jamie McMurray. Obviously, this burnout is going on to the bricks. I mean, he is not.
He did.
This is not the first person to do this. Let's see here. Yeah. I want to see what did Paul Menard do? Did he do it as well?
I still think drivers being ignorant doesn't excuse another driver being ignorant.
He did too.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm trying to find a picture that shows good.
I'd say all this does right now is it proves that once again NASCAR doesn't belong here because. I mean,
there's Kyle Busch doing it in the 54.
And I also think a big.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, he did. 2015.
I still don't see how this excuses Brad Keselowski and Justin Allgaier doing it.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So I mean, if those guys did it, look here.
Just because NASCAR has the precedent of screwing everything up in Indianapolis doesn't mean anything to improvement of this year. Like,
all right,
there's the bricks right here too. Kane did it last year.
I don't see the point here though. Like drivers screwing up all the time just shows how ignorant NASCAR is compared to any other motorsport, really. Because other motorsports, they get mad about this. Oh, yeah. They don't like it.
You should have looked up IndyCar burnout. Or is IndyCar even burnout in races?
No.
The thing is, with NASCAR, burnouts is a part of NASCAR. I don't know who started the first burnout. I've looked this up. I can't really figure out who did the first burnout after a race in NASCAR. Like it might have before this. The first thing I really recognize is that Dale Earnhardt did a donut after he won the Daytona 500. I don't really know who started that trend exactly. Do you guys maybe know? Does the chat maybe know? But anyway, that's just become a part of NASCAR. That's just iconic with a NASCAR race. You win, you do a burnout. That's NASCAR.
And I'd say, again, if you're going somewhere like Indianapolis, you have to respect the traditions that a lot of other people have laid before it. I mean, NASCAR's only been here, 23, 24 years? Meanwhile, IndyCar's been here over 100 years. There's been racing at the track since the early 1900s, possibly 1800s. The way I see is that this is another reason why NASCAR is a complete failure at this track and why we need to leave. And the fact that a lot of people are saying it's just a yard of bricks, I think shows how out of touch NASCAR fans really are with, because I think I've noticed a lot of NASCAR fans are just like, well, who cares? We can do whatever we want kind of deal. It's like, no,
that is ridiculous though.
Just because as a sport we have a precedent of not respecting our own tradition doesn't mean we disrespect somebody else's.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people aren't going to like me for that, but.
Some people are saying in the chat that they said Jeff Gordon did a burnout after he won his first championship at Atlanta in 1995, and someone said something about Hornaday doing it. So,
Darian, I have a NASCAR history video for you to make there. Find out who did burnouts and why.
On the first,
and why? Yeah, do a race review. Do a race review on the first burnout.
Oh yeah. By the way, speaking of that, there's no uploads this week. sorry, I'm gonna be busy all weekend. So next week though.
I know that struggle because I've been busy. Like, you know, the new NASCAR game come out. I've been trying to get familiar as fit, enjoy it. So I've been, you know, and also still been transitioning into this move and stuff. So I've still got some content planned I need to do. Now that we've finally done Indy, I'm going to do my part 4 and 5 together into one video for the season review.
I kind of want to keep on our little train of controversy. This one, I am also kind of on both sides with the Denny Hamlin comments, or controversy as I've been calling it.
Yeah, I didn't see the interview when he gave it. I turned the TV off or I left the room. I didn't see him give the interview, but I went back and found it, I think yesterday, and he made comments about how, you know, there was that wreck with Jeffrey Earnhardt and Landon Castle with, like, I don't know, less than 10 laps to go, and Hamlin won interview, and it basically cost Hamlin the win because it allowed Keselowski on fresher tires to get close on the restart and beat him. Hamlin.
Clint was faster than him. He did not have the fastest car at the end.
Hamlin was going to win. I don't think Clint Boyer was going to pass him. Nobody except Kenseth could pass at Indy, so which is weird to say, but that's how it was. But anyway, so he was mad about that. I mean, I guess it's kind of understandably so, but his comment was that people were mad because he referred to, I guess in this case, Jeffrey Earnhardt and Landon Castle as meaningless drivers. I don't agree with him saying that, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. People who say Hamlin's whining are whining about that comment. I mean, come on, guys, grow some thicker skin there. But at the end of the day, I 100% agree with Denny Hamlin. He's exactly right. I don't understand. This has happened 2 weeks in a row now. We're late in the race. Some team running 35th wrecks with less than 10 laps to go. You've made it so far, and you're going to wreck your stuff with 5 laps to go. And I got a lot of blowback for making this comment on Twitter because people are like, oh, well, they're a small team. One position on the track means a ton to them. That's bullshit. That's bullshit to me.
And I just want to point out as well, just to, like, you know, add more fuel to your opinion. They weren't. I don't think they were on the same lap.
They might not have been.
Yeah, and I don't know. Just when I saw that wreck, I think Jeffrey Earnhardt was like even a lap behind Landon.
Yeah, just at the end of the day, it's just, you know what I'm saying? These teams, we talk so much about how money is an issue for race teams. The big teams have money struggles. These little small teams are struggling for money week in, week out. And people are literally telling me on Twitter, and they might be in the chat right now, and I don't want to disrespect you, but I do not understand this mindset that even if they're on the same lap, finishing 32nd as opposed to 33rd means nothing. That doesn't mean anything to any team in the world. They're like, oh, but you get a little more money. You get hardly any more money. Yeah. But you do. But the problem is, if by putting your car in a risky situation, because if you're running 33rd, your car's not handling good. You can't be having a very good day. To put your car in a risky spot and potentially wreck total your stuff, which you see now by backmarker teams 2 weeks in a row late in the race, you just cost your team hundreds of thousands of dollars. You were going for maybe $1,000 by that extra position, but at the end of the day, you instead cost them $100,000 and they might go out of business. And people are sitting here telling me that I'm crazy for thinking this way. And I'm just
they're crazy. They're crazy.
You got to be safe. You got to be safe in that spot. So I understand Hamlin being like, why are they doing this? Why are they acting this way? Why are they driving like that? Because I've heard other big name drivers who are running up front complain about it, or not complain about it, but pointed out in the past too. Like, you know, you can't control your cars for 5 laps. Like, come on, guys, you've been doing it all day long. Just get to the finish at this point. You know, finishing the race matters more than finishing 32nd instead of 33rd. So I'm sorry. That I got really frustrated when I saw how many people were mad at Denny Hamlin for that comment. I'm not a big Hamlin fan. I think he said he's done and said some stupid and ill-advised things in the last year, especially ever since Martinsville. I don't like how he handled Martinsville last year. But people, this is the same issue I have with Kyle Busch. People disregard anything Kyle Busch says just because they don't like it. Just because you don't like a guy doesn't mean you can't agree with some things they say. You know, I may not agree with a lot of people in the world, but occasionally they say something really smart that I can look at and be like, hey, that does make a lot of sense to me. But too many people are blinded by their hatred for these guys that they completely discredit everything they say. It even happens with Keselowski. Brad Keselowski's made some good points this year, and I see people on social media discredit it just because it's Brad Keselowski and they don't like him. People need to get over themselves. That's my point here. People need to get over themselves and I don't know, just grow up. They complain that Hamlin and Kyle Busch need to grow up, and sometimes they do. But some of these fans got to grow up too. That's the end of my rant.
Absolutely.
Well, Carnation.
Well said.
Carnation.
Well said.
Carnation. Clip that.
Yeah.
I'll give my take real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Jeffrey Earnhardt and who was he running with? exactly.
Landing
what the back markers.
Yeah, basically.
For them running that hard that late back there, dumb. Don't do it. Like, come on, guys. I'd say for Hamlin, my only problem is that he worded it stupidly.
Yeah,
He could have said it much better. And
what is up with this trend that we have seen a lot of good drivers? What's the best word? Flexing, I guess, the best word you can call it.
Flexing.
I mean, that's basically what they've been. That's basically what they've been doing. Pointing out people's statuses. You know, at Darlington, you know, Harvick made his controversial statement about Ross Chastain, and basically saying, "Oh, you know, I'm in a top level ride for a reason. He won't be in a top level ride anymore." You know, that kind of mentality, that ain't cool.
Well, I would say that I found his comments ironic, and here's why. Had it not been for one of those meaningless drivers sucking so much, he would not have been in the 11 car in 2005.
And just for the record, that was Jason Leffler. God rest his soul.
Yeah,
he did.
No
he
disrespect
did.
to Leffler,
he
but
did.
he was awful.
Well, he was terrible in that ride. If you watch that season, if you go back to that season,
he did his best Jimmy Spencer impersonation every race.
Jason Leffler, you know, granted, I know it's what took his life, but he was a driver who was meant more for dirt track racing.
But I explained that to Darian, and I think it also, if he meant that as, oh, they're just meaningless because they're in the back and, you know, they don't matter in the field kind of thing, I do think it shows a little disconnect. Like, he's been in, you know, top level equipment his entire career, and I don't necessarily think fans either kind of understand the pressure, even when you can't make up anything whatsoever, that, you know, whether it's Jeffrey Earnhardt, Ross Chastain, whoever, you know, no matter what way they can make it, they're trying to at least in some way, you know, make themselves known to a wider audience. Now, do I think that them wrecking each other when they really shouldn't have been racing that hard at all is the way to do it? Hell no. No. I think what they were doing was stupid. But I do think also that majority of fans and a lot of higher up drivers don't understand and probably will never understand that feeling and that pressure. And do I think it excuses it? No. But do I think that at the same time Hamlin is disconnected? Yes.
I agree. I think I don't like how Hamlin phrased it, but I didn't think it was enough to get people as riled up against him as I think they were. I think a lot of people overreacted to his comments. To say anyone's meaningless is unfair, especially when you are Denny Hamlin, who's been in good equipment your whole Cup Series career. I'd also say Hamlin earned that good equipment in the Cup Series career. He's won a lot of races, and he's been competitive pretty much every year. But yeah, I agree with what you said. I'm not going to go in anymore. Y'all heard what I had to say.
I also will make a point that I do, and this might seem like grasping for straws, but just bear with me. I think, one, it's not a big controversy. Everyone's blowing this up way more, and the fact that we're still talking about it on what? No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Sunday, or not Monday, and you know, the people freaking out over it. Like, they blew it up way out of proportion. This is a giant controversy. Now, I do think that this is a product of the cars. Yes. Because if you look from Gen 4 and even started of COT back, there's cars, you know, Terry Labonte and that 96 car in 2006, say at Sonoma, running up front for a win. That team was awful, God awful. But a back marker team like that could still go up there and run with the big boys. You know, you saw that Kevin LePage in the 37 did that at Daytona. Granted, it's Daytona, but still, even now you see, you know, are you really ever going to see Derek Cope running higher than 30th unless it's a bunch of wrecks that get him up there at Daytona? No.
He doesn't even run 30th.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm making a point here.
Yeah.
I think that this is a huge product of the giant discrepancy or giant how do I say it? Gap. The giant gap between the good teams, the haves, and the bad teams, the have-nots, if you want to put it that way. I think that I don't know. I mean, I think we should also kind of be thankful for this because at the same time, it also produced probably the best Brickyard 400 finish ever. if you look at going to the last 3 laps, I don't think there's any finish at the Brickyard that's been better than this one. I think that speaks also to how bad the racing at the Brickyard is, because most other tracks have better finishes than that. But I do think, I guess the reason I'm not as mad that it happened is because it produced a good finish. Had it produced a boring finish where, Brad Keselowski or Hamlin or whoever's leading at the time just pulls away and it's a single file run, there's, no beating and banging whatsoever, I think I'd be a little more mad at those 2 cars, at Castle and Jeffrey Earnhardt. But at the same time, it's like, I'm trying to think on the glass half full side here. If we hadn't had that wreck, and if that hadn't went down, we wouldn't have this good finish we had this week. So I guess that's my take too.
Well, I think it's just ridiculous that we're still even talking about this. Like, I heard it and I was like, oh yeah, name one thing he said that wasn't true. I mean, Jeffrey Earnhardt and Landon Castle, no wins. Running it back as, back marker teams. Jeffrey Earnhardt shouldn't even be there, to be honest with you. He's only there because of his name. There's not really any, he is. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but man, you are spitting some hard truths.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it was meaningless, and I don't even think it was for a position either.
Take it easy, Denny Hamlin.
Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, some of you fans, you guys ask for personalities. You want awesome quotes, and you get one, but it doesn't fit your narrative, or you don't like what he said because he said some mean things. Then you just discredit it, and also you discredit it because it's Denny Hamlin. Let's say, for example, someone like an up-and-comer like Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, or Chase Elliott had said the same thing. Everyone would be agreeing, oh, yeah, he's totally right. They shouldn't even be out there and stuff. Yeah. But, since it's Denny Hamlin, who still gets a lot of hate, I know he's one of the, more hated drivers, but, geez, just seeing some of the chat on Twitter or something like that, just seeing the replies, it was just wow. I mean, just name one thing. I dare one of you guys to just say one thing that wasn't true about what he said. He had that race won, and he was going to run away with it. And then essentially Jeffrey Earnhardt, he did do this for the 2nd week in a row. It's ridiculous. Larson was well on his way to winning, and then Earnhardt just ruins everything for him. Keselowski wins. Well, Keselowski will probably say different because he's won 2 races because of it. But, yeah, Hamlin, you guys know I like a driver who says what's on his mind, and Hamlin certainly did. And he's never going to stop doing that.
I think it's ironic that, this thing happened with Jeffrey Earnhardt and involved the car that he was originally with when this season started, and then they dropped him because obviously they must have seen something wasn't quite right with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he was only there because of his name. And NASCAR Racing Fan 2015 basically said the same thing I was thinking. I was this new startup team and stuff, I was thinking, oh, maybe y'all could possibly pull a Landon Castle or maybe a Michael McDowell because he was available at the time. Or you can go out of the box and just maybe get a Matt Kenseth. That wasn't going to happen. But, I mean, at least you could shoot that for that high, since he didn't have any rides at the time. But Jeffrey Earnhardt, really, out of all the drivers, out of all your choices, you could have started the season with Landon Castle, but you picked Jeffrey Earnhardt. Come on now. We all know his last name had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to do our picks now? I think we've held the chat long enough.
Yes.
Who's going to suck this week?
Who's going first?
I'll go first. My suck pick for this week, if any of you guys saw my playoffs video today, I don't have this guy getting out of the first round, spoiler alert, partially because I just don't think he's as good as he was earlier this year, and that's unfortunate because I like this guy, but I think Ryan Blaney's going to suck. And by suck, I mean run 15th, which I think sucks, given I think he was in the top 10 here earlier this year.
Yeah, he got the pole here earlier this year.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
I'm going out on that one.
It pains me to say this being his one of 2 fans, but Bowman's going to suck here.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Alex Bowman, he's been so trash the past few races. Well, he's really been trash all season, but I mean, he's just been so trash lately. The Darlington, and he can't even finish a race anymore. Alex Bowman.
We don't have to keep throwing out the word trash to describe him, but
I'll say this: Bubba's been trash, but like he has an excuse. What is Bowman's excuse? I mean, he made the playoffs.
It's 2018 Hendrick. That's a good enough excuse. So
okay.
I'm gonna go with my suck pick, who's not gonna do so hot. I don't think Clint Boyer's gonna do so hot. I don't know. When I think of Clint Boyer and Las Vegas, I don't see the two meshing well. And the only time I've ever seen him in a highlight reel with Las Vegas was him falling back. So maybe that's not the best litmus test to go off of, but I think I'm going to go with that.
And now
so who's our underdog picks?
My underdog pick is kind of a lame pick because he's not in the playoffs, but he ran pretty well at Indianapolis. I think he finished in the top 10. You'll have to correct me, but I know he finished. I did my research. I know he finished in the top 10 at Las Vegas earlier this year. The other 21 guy, Paul Menard, is going to be is my underdog pick for this weekend.
Yeah, he does seem to run fairly decent tracks like Las Vegas and Atlanta, tracks like that.
Go ahead and make your sleeper pick. I'm looking up something really quick.
All right, my underdog pick, and I said this on Joseph's podcast earlier in the week because I was on Into a C4R's podcast this week. My underdog is someone who could be an underdog for the win. That's what I'm going to call him, and he really needs a win because I feel like he's going to struggle elsewhere in this round. Is Eric Almirola. Eric Almirola needs to try everything that they can to win this race this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is a big week for Almirola. If he doesn't do well at Vegas, he's not moving on to the next round.
Yeah.
You know what? I remember putting in the average finishes for our the program. By the way, if you're going to the Las Vegas race and if you see like average finishes of like 13.8, 14.2, stuff like that, that was all me. So just saying. I just wanted to look this up again to clarify again. His overall average finish is not that impressive, but the last two, I have seen him run up front here and there. I like Austin Dillon here. Now, I'm not going to say my predictions and stuff, but we all know where I'm going to go with this. But Austin Dillon, I could see getting a top 10 this weekend.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Hold on. Eric, was your neck okay? I saw.
No, I don't know about. I'm afraid of where you're going with that Austin Dillon pick. I can understand you saying, "Oh, I could see him getting a top 10," because I could too. That's fair. Right. But I'm afraid of where you're going with that when we get to our playoff predictions. That's something I'm a little concerned about.
No. What do you mean? All right, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about during the playoff predictions. My underdog pick, somebody who didn't exactly run great here in the first race. Has pretty good track record, but I think will improve as the team has. I'm going with my underdog being Jimmie Johnson. I think it's safe enough in the year on a 49 race winless streak to say that Jimmie Johnson is an underdog at Las Vegas.
No, I think it's fair. Yeah, how many wins does he have at Las Vegas in his career? Like 4 or 5?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
A lot, but
he's still an underdog. I agree. I almost consider him as my underdog. But
that's what I'm saying. 4 wins and he's the underdog, but it shows you this just how bad he's ran this year to his standards, to his usual standards too. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, he finished I think he finished 12th or 13th in the first race. Yeah. I know he ran around there most of the day, and I mean he'd run like that even 3 years ago. We'd be like, oh man, something's wrong with the 48 car. They didn't go and get a top 5 like they normally do. They didn't get a top 10.
Right.
And now it's like, this far in the year, we're kind of thinking, oh, well, that's a good run for him this year. So
yeah,
who's our picks to win?
I'm not going to go too far outside of the box for this. I agree with our guest earlier today. I think Kevin Harvick is the favorite. I don't think he's going to run away with it. I don't think he's he's probably the easiest choice, but I don't think he's like head and shoulders above everybody else. He did win here in the spring race, but that was kind of at the very beginning of the season when he got off that super hot start, won like 3 of the first 4 races or something like that. I don't remember what he did, but he was winning all over the place. So I don't think he's quite as good now, or at least comparative to other people, he's not quite as good as he was when we were here in the spring. But I think he'll figure it out. I think playoffs are here. I think they'll win, and it'll be good and fun and great. Not for us, but for him.
Couldn't fun and great.
Maybe for Keelan.
Maybe for Keelan and Delana and Richard. No, not Richard. Who's he work for now? Tony Stewart.
Not Richard. If you're talking about Mr. Petty, no.
I'm thinking of Richard Childress. I forgot he's not the 29 anymore.
It'll be good for the lady that wears the fire suit in the family.
Mm-hmm.
So who else got our picks? I want to go last.
All right, I'll go second here. So the championship run begins this weekend. So Larson's fans, well, you guys are going to rejoice this weekend. Kyle Larson gets win number 1 of 2018. I'm seeing, yeah, I know he's laughing again.
No, I'm excited. I think Larson's a good pick. I think he has a good chance of winning this week.
I do admit my picks are a little crazy and stuff out there. I think that's reasonable, though. It's a reasonable pick. Tony Stewart, 2011. Nobody expected him to win the title. Won 5 of the last 10 races. Ended up winning, taking home the 2011, at the time, Sprint Cup Series championship. So I've been saying all year long, this is going to be a replica of that. And the only thing is, Larson's running way better than Tony Stewart did. And I've seen flashes of it. We saw it at Darlington. I was like, like he's about to get his first regular season win. But I was right in that prediction, saying he wouldn't get one. He'll turn on the intensity. Him and that team will start to pick it up in the playoffs. And I don't think he's going to dominate, though. I think he'll probably. I think I'm anticipating maybe a good battle towards the end here. Maybe. I know it's Vegas, but I don't know. I get this feeling. I'm getting this feeling inside my stomach right now, and it's not gas, but it's this.
It's gas.
Yeah. But like I said, Larson, his championship season or his championship run begins in Las Vegas.
Well, I'm going with what Eric said. I said it on Monday as well. Harvick's going to get another win, but this time he's not going to have the whole window fiasco that we had earlier this year.
That's right. This is the race. Yeah, this is the race that he was encumbered, correct?
Yep.
That's a fair point, actually. I didn't really think about that. That's right. It could be a slight disadvantage then this week.
I want to sound like a broken record based on the first Vegas stream we did, and this one I'm going with Kevin Harvick too. I don't see how I can see how you bet against him. Maybe with Truex and Kyle Busch, maybe Kyle Larson. But yeah, I'm going to go with the crowd here. Kevin Harvick's going to win this weekend, and we're all going to celebrate.
Celebrate.
All right. So I say we should continue the pick section.
Playoffs. I've been looking forward to this one all day.
Playoffs.
We're talking about
playoffs.
Does anyone? Right. I'm assuming everyone on this panel gets that reference.
I get the reference.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. All right. So who gets eliminated the first round? Who wants to go first again?
Okay. I'm sitting here. I've actually got a grid in front of me, so I'm sitting here looking at it. And my 4 that gets eliminated first is Alex Bowman, Jimmie Johnson. If he doesn't do well this weekend at Las Vegas, Eric Almirola, and Austin Dillon.
Okay.
All right, so I'll go next here. Round of 16 eliminations. 3 out of the 4 were he has the same as me. Austin Dillon is going to get eliminated the first round. And Eric, I thought it was funny. Eric thought I was going to do something
I was just making sure.
Yeah, no, it's done. No, Austin Dillon's out. Alex Bowman is out as well. Jimmie Johnson, yeah, there's no way those 2 Hendrick cars are making it out alive. This guy is very inconsistent, and I won't be surprised if he doesn't make it out of here. Ryan Blaney, he's so inconsistent. 1 week he'll have a 4th place run at Michigan, and then he'll disappear for a few other weeks and stuff. And yeah, we're going to Vegas, but he did get the pole there, but I don't really remember him running inside the top 5 or maybe sometimes in the top 10. You know what I mean? So yeah, Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman, Jimmie Johnson, and Ryan Blaney are my picks to get eliminated in the round of 16.
I can go next.
It's fair to point out, though, based on what he said, Ryan Blaney compared to the beginning of this year and how he is now is a night and day difference, too. So
yeah,
he's bad right now.
Yeah, I think, okay, so my 4, I'm eliminating Austin Dillon as an easy pick. Although I was looking up, he had top 15 finishes at Richmond and Vegas earlier this year, but I don't think he's going to make it out of this round. Alex Bowman will be eliminated. Then the other two, this is where people disagree with me, at least on one of them. I also had Ryan Blaney being eliminated because he's not as good as he was earlier this year, and really he just has almost – I don't think he might have like 1 or 2
top 10s
bonus points.
Or like top 10s, I think, as well. Yeah.
He hasn't been good since the spring, but so I don't think Ryan Blaney makes it. My fourth pick, the fourth driver being eliminated, however, I have Eric Almirola. Almirola, let me see. Hold on. I had my notes here. His last 3 races have all been outside the top 10. He had a wreck at Bristol, finished 31st. He was 23rd at Indy this last week, so he has very little momentum going for him. He was 14th at Darlington. This year he did start on the pole at Vegas, but he finished 10th. And he wasn't that good at Richmond. He started like Blaney. He started the year out really good, but now unfortunately he's the 3rd best, actually probably the 4th best SHR car. So yeah, there you have it. So in other words, I have Jimmie Johnson moving on to the round of 12.
Oh, that's right, you do.
I do.
Nice. I think the fact that we all overlap so much kind of shows how this chase playoffs, whatever you want to call it, too many drivers.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that because mine overlap. I mean, there is not a driver that has been eliminated first on mine who does not match up with any of them on your guys's. Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, Jimmie Johnson.
That's the same as me.
Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty obvious.
So now we move to the second round, which is Dover, Dega, Kansas. Who gets eliminated in this round?
I'll go first because I just finished up my grid here. I have, let me see who I have in the round of 8 and who I don't have. Okay, so I have Hamlin being eliminated in the round of 12. I have Eric Jones being eliminated in the round of 12. I have Joey Logano being eliminated in the round of 12. And I have Ryan Blaney being eliminated in the round of 12.
Okay.
Got Hamlin being eliminated in the round of 12.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he hasn't won this year. He's having a pretty bad year. I mean,
it's consistent. I'm all about consistency, but
in this playoff format though,
you got to win.
Wins is what helps you. My round of 8 is Kyle Busch.
Wait, we're not going.
No. Wait.
No. I'm saying who I have advancing.
Oh, okay.
My people in the round of 8 is Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Truex Jr., Keselowski, Boyer, Kurt Busch, Larson, and Elliott.
Okay.
All right, so round of 12 here. And basically, I want to explain like the whole formula I'm sort of using. I took the average finish from the last 5 races, the loop data from the last 5 races as well, and combined those, and I created this point system here to where I can, possibly get a perfect perfect predictions of the playoffs here. So I don't know. I'm doing my best here. So this next pick is probably going to shock a lot of you. Martin Truex Jr. is gone. He's gone. He's out of the round of 12. He's been he's just super inconsistent as well. I don't see him making it out of the round of 12. Eric Almirola, I see him. I think he should just be happy to be there. To be honest with you, Joey Logano, he's out, and Clint Boyer is out as well.
Wow, I almost disagree with you on all of those. The only one I will applaud you is the Truex pick. Spoiler alert, Truex, I have him making it through this round, but I almost didn't. Not because I think he's good at basically every track, but Talladega has given him issues. He's not that good. I mean, he's been okay at Dover, but he hasn't been like outstanding at Kansas or Dover. So I applaud that pick. I'd like to hear your reasoning on Boyer and Logano specifically.
Well, this playoffs, I mean, like Danny said, it's all about winning and stuff. While they are consistent, I see some tracks where some guys who haven't been as consistent as them will win, and just a win you're in thing. It just shows how ridiculous this system is.
I see. Okay, so you're valuing wins. I get you.
That's going to play into my next one.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go next. Hold on, let me pull my grid back up. So my round of 8 eliminations are Jimmie Johnson. I let him this far, but he's not making any further than this. Then these other ones, I have Denny Hamlin, which is tough, but it has to be done. The next 2 are extremely tough. I could see both these guys getting a home style, to be completely honest. Eric Jones, who I only have him being eliminated because of his results at Talladega, Dover, and Kansas earlier this year were not very good. He's running way better, though, and I mentioned this in my video today. He's finished in the top 5 in 4 of the last 6 races. So he's been on fire, basically, since he won Daytona. So I could see him moving on, but some of these other guys have really good finishes, like Kurt Busch, Chase Elliott. That's why I have them moving on. So Jones, he could make it to Homestead, but I'm going to go and knock him out in this round. And Kyle Larson, I have eliminated in the round of 12. This is the round that did him in last year. Last year, he won 4 races. People thought he had a real shot at the championship. And then I know some of it was mechanical failures, but he's never had success at Talladega. So I just, I know Talladega is a wild card, so he could easily win that race. It's not fair of me probably to put that much weight on Talladega in my predictions. But hold on, let me look at his stats. Earlier this year, he was 10th at Dover earlier this year, which is good but not great. And then he's always been okay at Kansas, but Kansas doesn't fit his driving style so much. It's a one groove repaved track. He's better on the older, slicker surfaces. So I feel like this round is not built for Larson, which is probably why he missed out last year. But like I said, both him and Eric Jones, I could easily see making it to Homestead. But I just think this round specifically is going to give them both a little bit of trouble.
All right. Mine, I don't know. Darian's sort of taking the cake for bold picks for this one, but I'm gonna try and throw my hat in the water with it. So for my 4 that are out, Eric Almirola, I think we're all for the most part, on pretty same page with him. Eric Jones, and then the next 2 I think are a little more bigger names. So my 3rd one would be Chase Elliott. I think that Talladega will do him in again because, I mean, you look at how they qualify well, but do they finish well kind of thing. I mean, they have good cars, but nowadays Talladega is, can you get to the finish? Can you be one of those 7 cars that finish? And then I also have Truex. I think that, the team right now is it's cooled down a lot. I think we've all noticed that. And I really think between Dega problems and the whole team shutting down drama and everything like that, I think that, in my opinion, it's too much. And I think the 78 team folds, and we're not going to get the Cinderella story we wished.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I went ahead and had Truex moving on, but when I was making my grid, Truex was 7th. So he barely makes it in this round for me. I only let him in because he's been really good at Dover in his career, and he's typically good at mile and a halves. But you guys are right. The Furniture Row racing has not been quite as good the last few weeks. And this last week at Indy, and we've saw it. We've seen it multiple times this year. They've had technical or tire issues that you don't see from Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick very often. So yeah, I could easily see him being eliminated this round. But yeah, so I want to hear Darian's, because Darian's, you eliminated some big names. Read me who's your 8 right now that have made it. Who's your top 8?
My top 8 right now: Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, and Eric Jones so far.
Okay. See, I feel like your bracket will happen if mine completely falls apart. Which honestly I could see happening because, like I said, Jones and Larson could make it in. But
Jones has been quietly consistent. The last 5 races, he has an average finish of 6.8. That's 4th best right now. And I know you have to win and you're in. I know you have to win to make it in, to make it, to the next round and stuff. But the rest of those spots are filled because of consistency. So just watch out.
So we move on to the final 4. Who's our final 4 now?
Well, let's do who we eliminate first. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do who we eliminate, and then we'll read off our 4 and then do our pick.
I'll go ahead and go first here. So just to refresh everybody, my round of 8, I had Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Clint Bowyer, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott. Now, these tracks in the round of 8 favor so much more to a few other drivers who can make something of these weeks. And because of this, I have being eliminated in this round Kurt Busch, Clint Bowyer, Brad Keselowski, and Martin Truex Jr., and I have Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Kyle Busch advancing.
Interesting.
All right, round of 8.
Because I'm just going to throw this back out there. I believe, based on what we saw a year ago, if the 9 team can just get themselves to the round of 8, they will redeem themselves at Martinsville.
Okay, so y'all get ready to strap in your seats. You're gonna love. Some of you guys are gonna love this one. Round of 8 eliminations. This isn't in any particular order. Denny Hamlin, he's gone. Brad Keselowski, I know the last 2 weeks he's won, but some luck had a lot to do with that. Let's be honest here. He's gone. Kurt Busch, you know, I met him in person a couple weeks back and stuff. Great guy. You know, he's gone though. This guy, he was so close a year ago to making it in, but he is going to miss the Final Four for the second year in a row. That is Chase Elliott, which means my Final Four.
You mean third year in a row?
Or third year in a row, my bad. So, which means my Final Four. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, the two obvious ones. Kyle Larson and Eric Jones will make it into the Final Four on consistency. I said the last 5 races. Look at his average finish here, 4th best. Now, I don't think, and here's the craziest thing. I don't even see him getting a win in during the playoffs, but it has been proven before. You can get there on consistency. And Eric Jones, I know that Eric's loving this. Jones is going to shock a lot of people and make it into the Final Four. And I know the chat, you're like, what? Go look at the stats. The stats don't lie. I added everything up, looking at the loop data, and just the average finish from the last 5 races and stuff. This is the playoff thing I'm adding up. This is what I got.
I like your Final Four a lot. I hope that's what actually happens with Larson, Jones, Harvick, and Busch. Like I said, I'm telling you, I know I have Harvick or Larson and Jones being eliminated in the round of 12, but they could make it to the Final Four. I would not be shocked. But yeah, so I'll give you my round of 8, or my 4 drivers eliminated after the round of 8. I have Martin Truex Jr. He will not make it to Homestead. Brad Keselowski, his teammate Joey Logano, and then Kurt Busch will not make it either. So my Final Four then, the 2 obvious ones, like it sounds like we all basically agree, Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick will make it in. They just have too many bonus points, and if you look at their stats, I mean, Kevin Harvick owns Phoenix, and Kyle Busch has won Texas like 3 times in the last few years. You know, they own those tracks. My other 2 though, Clint Bowyer and Chase Elliott will be at Homestead this year. And yeah, I don't know. Let me see. I should probably defend myself a little bit on some of these. Some people will be like, well, how are you going to let Chase Elliott in? He hasn't done that much. You know, he's only won at Watkins Glen. He should have won Martinsville last year. And if you look at his average finish at Texas and Phoenix, they're both. Phoenix. I think Texas it's 7.5 or something like that, and then Phoenix it's like a 6 point something. I know it's only over a few races each, but this round of 8, like we saw last year, those 3 tracks suit him probably better than any other set of tracks on the circuit. So I believe in Chase Elliott. Clint Bowyer, I believe in only because of his finishes this year. You know, Clint Bowyer has probably been the second best Stuart Haas car mostly this year. Kurt Busch has shown some signs lately. But Clint Bowyer early this year won Martinsville. He finished 9th at Texas and 6th at Phoenix. That's some of the best. Of all the stats I looked at these guys in the round of 8, those are some of the best stats. So I think Bowyer makes it in along with Chase Elliott, Harvick, and Kyle Busch. So that's my Final Four.
All right. So my last 4 eliminated before the finals. Denny Hamlin, I think, just this year isn't the year. I think they're a year away. If they keep this format, knowing NASCAR. Kurt Busch, I think same goes there, and I think that team just isn't where the 4 and the 14 are. And well, it will be where the 14 is, because the 14 will also be eliminated. I think Clint Bowyer will, as much as I want him to go and win it. And then Brad Keselowski. I think you have to pick you had to pick one of the 2 Penske cars for the whole season. I would pick Joey Logano over Brad Keselowski. So my Final 4: Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. I think we all have that. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano.
Hey, ours is similar, except Eric Jones, though. Joey Logano instead. I'll
take the guy who's been consistent all year over the guy who's been consistent for 4 races.
I had Harvick, Larson, and Busch, so yeah, we're pretty much close.
Actually, 10 races, So I got you there. 10 races.
Okay, I'll take 26 over 10.
Gotta go. It's what you done for me lately.
Tell that to Larson last year.
So the big shabam.
It's worth noting because I looked up all these numbers. Keselowski did not finish well at Martinsville, Texas, and ISM earlier this year. Those are some of his worst races.
He did run good though. He was pretty much up there the whole day at Martinsville last year though. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he won the spring race there. So last year.
So let's go down the line again really quick and each briefly give our top four and our final four and our champion, just so the people at home know who we got.
All right. So I'm going to break these down driver by driver, how I think they might fare. Kevin Harvick, I feel like he's going to be hanging out in the top 2 or 3 cars the entire day. Chase Elliott, he's going to be there, but he's not going to be a factor in this race. I don't see him running good at Homestead. He'll maybe be like a top 15 car, kind of like the way Brad Keselowski was last year, just not really there. Kyle Larson, big threat to win it. Kyle Busch, big threat to win it. But I feel like we might see something similar to Chicagoland. See Larson and Kyle Busch pretty much right there with each other, fighting really hard for a championship. What's going to happen? A situation where they wreck and Kevin Harvick cruises to the championship.
Very specific.
By the way, before I get into my reasons here and stuff in my analysis of this race, make sure to lick the like button, everyone. I saw we have 68 and currently 125 watching right now, so let's get up to 100 likes from my boy Jarrett. And now let's get to the final four. Like I said, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, and Eric Jones in the final four. Now, Eric Jones, while he is consistent, compared to those three and stuff, he'll have the worst finish. He'll probably still finish in the top 10 though. So Eric Jones is the first one to go. This next one, in last year's race, the top 3, it was Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, and Kevin Harvick, I believe. If you guys want to go fact check that for me really quick.
It was Truex won last year, so it was Truex, Kyle Busch.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, they were in the top 3 at one point, or top 4, something like that. Sorry about that. I see Harvick running well all the whole time and stuff, but I don't know. I just don't see him winning the championship and stuff. He's always so close. The past few years, he'll finish second and stuff. Or third. He's so close, but he can't seal the deal. He can't seal the deal lately, so he's out. And I've been saying this: Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson going at it again. Larson will avenge that Chicagoland finish. I don't know if he's gonna. I'm not gonna say if he's gonna like dump Busch for the win or something like that. Anyways, but Larson's track record at Homestead, even when Ganassi was terrible, he was still pretty good. He could still carry that car. And we've seen Ganassi kind of turn it around, at least with Larson's team, not McMurray's. Oh,
yeah,
no.
well, McMurray this week was up front.
Yeah, but I mean, Indianapolis, it's more like track position. Like if you're like third, you're probably going to finish third, depending on like pit strategy and stuff.
Where's that? What have you done for me lately mentality, man?
Wow, one race. Oh wow, yeah, one race.
Darren, I feel like we're kind of both thinking the same thing. Those two are going to really give each other heck the entire day. It's just my thoughts on it, they're going to give each other a little too much and then take each other out, and that's where Harvick's going to come in.
Ooh, that's where you're wrong, man. You see, it's going to come down to that last lap. Larson's going to get by Busch.
Mine could still come down to the last lap, but if they wreck each other in turn 3 and they're sitting there a smoking pile of mess,
That'd be funny. Like, what if Eric Jones is running third right now, and then they just win, and then like he has one win and he wins the championship because of that? I'm just saying, at least in my prediction. Like, I don't know. That would be funny. But anyways, Larson is going to win. He's going to pass Kyle Busch within the last 5 laps here, and Larson's gonna take home the title. And this point system will be even more scrutinized because Larson certainly was not the most consistent all year. Not even close. So I just want a guy who hasn't dominated all year to win, because I just want to see, like, screw you, Brian France, for making this system. I mean, if Newman, it would have been the same thing if Newman would have won that 2014 championship.
I was rooting for Newman.
That's kind of what I pointed out in a video I did on my channel earlier this year, where I scrutinized, the one flaw in the playoff system is that everything that's happened up to this point doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Larson, I've been saying it for months. He will be the 2018 Monster Energy Cup Series champion, and the Larson era will begin.
Ooh, I like that.
Or he wins a championship, says he's done it all, and he goes to race World of Outlaws for the rest of his life.
Holy crap. That'd be crazy.
That'd be the most NASCAR thing to happen.
That would be funny. Goodness. Okay, so my turn, I guess, for Final Four. I have Chase Elliott making it to the Final Four because Chevy has to be represented. It's NASCAR. Chevy's got to be everywhere. But he's not going. He's going to be the one with the least chance of winning. I think he finishes 7th. Clint Boyer, he's driving good Stewart-Haas equipment. I looked up. Hold on, let me look up his past. He does not have a great past at Homestead. But most of it, I looked up his last few years. Last year was the only year he was in decent equipment, and he finished 12th. All the other years he was with H. Scott Motorsports, or the bad years with Michael Waltrip Racing. He does have a couple top 5s with MWR. So Clint Boyer knows how to get around Homestead. I think he finishes 5th. I think he's there. He's there in case something crazy happens, but I don't think anything will. I think this will actually be a relatively tame championship race, kind of like last year, not like 2016 where things got crazy. I think it's going to come down to Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. We've seen them race. They've won a lot, but they haven't raced each other a lot. Texas, they raced each other and Kyle Busch won. New Hampshire, they raced each other and Kevin Harvick won. But other than that, I feel like we haven't really seen them race each other directly too much. But I think this it'll come down to, much like last year, it was, Kyle Busch trying to run down Truex. I think it's going to be very similar. But this year, instead of doing the chasing, I think Kyle Busch is going to be the one everyone is chasing after. So I think Kyle Busch will win. What it will go down officially as his 2nd career Cup Series championship. Kevin Harvick will likely finish 2nd in the race. This is enticing to me, or interesting to me, because both of these guys have won championships in this system. Harvick in 14, Busch in 15. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see which one. I feel like they're pretty direct rivals these days, and it'll be interesting to see which one gets the 2nd championship first. So I think it's going to be that's been a cool storyline, I think, going into these playoffs. And I think Kyle Busch, if you want my bet, KB will get it done and win it.
And if he doesn't use the regular season champion, at least he's the regular season
He's still got that nice little trophy that looks like an egg beater or something.
He looked so unimpressed with that too. Like, you see the picture, and it was like one of those moments where I totally agreed with him, where he's just sitting there, he's like,
I don't know. I'd be proud of getting it because you get 15 bonus points and stuff. I wouldn't be like, whoa, yeah, but I'd be like, oh, hey, it's pretty cool. But Kyle Busch is, when he's in a bad mood, you can't cheer him up with anything.
Well, I'd say all that stuff really doesn't matter when you're spinning backwards at Talladega and eliminated.
Just take that big trophy home for Kyle and rewrite it and say son of the year and give it to Brexton.
Yeah. Okay.
The comment says he needs to smash it like the guitar.
Yes, I actually would celebrate that. So okay, real quick, my Final Four: Harvick, Busch, Kyle Busch, I should say, Larson, Logano. Logano been consistent all year. Has enough good tracks in to make it. I don't think he's gonna get it done.
Is he gonna wreck people like he did a few years ago?
No, he's gonna I think he'll be irrelevant. I will make the bold prediction: the champion will not win the race. This is my Final Four.
That would be the first time in this format that the champion has not won the race.
Yeah, I don't
weird
think,
because before this style, the champion never won the Homestead race
ever.
Yeah. So that leaves getting Logano out of there leaves 3 guys battling for what I think will be the 3rd place position. And that's Harvick, Busch, Larson. I honestly don't see Harvick getting it either. Which I think his team's going to bite him. I think his team is going to bite him. I think Harvick will get a chance to complain for a whole offseason, his dream, and we're going to have to be stuck listening to it. So that leaves the Kyle and Kyle show. Common sense would tell me to go with what's worked, but we all know that I'm not sane. and I hate agreeing with Darian, but I think that Kyle Larson is going to get the best of Kyle Busch. I think this will be the first time in Cup Series, really, that everyone will get to see him get the best of Kyle Busch. But I think he will, and I think he'll pass him in the closing laps. I think he's going to be right next to that wall. He's going to be running the Richard Pettydale Jr. line, and we're all going to feel a good story to mask the fact that the 3 guys who should have won the championship did.
So who's your race winner, if we can ask that, or are you just assuming they're not going to win?
I kind of want to say something based on that, and if we all kind of didn't really have him making to the last race, who won it last year? Martin Truex Jr.
Yep, that's my pick. And he's not going to make it. That's the thing.
It'd be like Cole Custer a year ago, because he was like so close to making it, and then didn't win the race.
That would have been such a boring championship race. He was 13 seconds ahead. Wow. That would have been unbelievable.
So I want to ask one more prediction, and it's not really a prediction. It's more, what do you want? Who would be your ideal Final Four?
Well, didn't we just do that?
Yeah,
I'm saying instead of drivers we think will be there, who do we want to be there? Because I don't think any of us want Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick.
I mean, you ask a Hendrick fanboy, yeah, I'm hoping for Elliott, Johnson, Bowman somehow, and then Larson in there.
Bowman can go whine about going 16th.
I'd hope for an Eric Jones and Kyle Larson, because I like Eric Jones. But then for NASCAR's sake, I'd want to Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. I think you need the villain to root against and the hero to root for, and then you have the spoilers in Larson and Jones.
And then, you take that, because then ultimately when Elliott doesn't win, there's the whole what-if factor, and we look forward to next season.
Yeah, obviously in every sport you need a villain, or villains in that case. Yeah, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is my ideal one. Ideal one. And then Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, and I'm going to say Jimmie Johnson, because it's the last, race with Lowe's and stuff and all that. And, it'd be cool to see the greatest driver of all time submit that with an 8th championship. So
not putting asterisk past anything past 2014.
You know what I'm very much curious of? What would happen in this playoff format if all four of the championship contenders just wrecked?
Well, yeah, it's been talked about before. That'd be it.
I hope it happens.
That would be funny.
I would feel like just see them all wreck at the same time. It's like, okay, whoever's car slides the furthest, you win.
I would laugh so far if the thing that NASCAR wanted to prevent, that by the end of the race you'll know who wins the championship. If they all wreck lap 1, I'm going to laugh so hard if 40th, 39th, 38th, and 37th are the championship 4. I hope that happens.
That would be so great.
At this point, I want that to be Brian France's legacy, is 4 crashed race cars, because it's so representative of this, just the sport right now.
If that happens, and because we have a garage clock or a time clock, and if they can't get their cars fixed in time, and then the champion is presented the championship right on the spot.
I want to see Kyle Busch's reaction to that if he gets screwed over by that rule.
I want to see Kyle Busch win the championship by finishing 35th.
I do too.
He'll be it'll be just like how he getting that the regular season trophy. He was in a bad mood because he didn't run very well in the race. But then they're like, "But here's your trophy." And you're gonna have instead of the picture of them holding up the trophy, he's just gonna be
the chances of all 4 drivers being in a situation where they all crash together is unlikely. But I want to see what happens if they all crash so bad that they all need to be towed off, and then you have to slowly tow one at a time. It's like, how do you score that?
It's like, oh, that tow was faster. Larson's your champion.
The wrecker he was on made it to the garage first.
Here's NASCAR. Tow Elliott first. Tow Elliott first.
NASCAR is such a goddamn joke.
This isn't gonna happen though. That wouldn't work though. But that's why this is why they don't want to run the championship at a plate track.
We would think that Montoya wouldn't hit a jet dryer, and it happened.
Yeah, but Montoya, we always knew he was hiding something.
It's NASCAR. Whatever could be the worst thing to possibly happen for the sanctioning body does. The only thing worse is if a pharmaceutical company won the championship, like as a sponsor. That's the only way it could be worse.
Someone said clearly, if they all lose, then the fans win a championship.
Well, I think if the championship 4 doesn't finish in the top 10, if none of them finish in the top 10, they should have a deal that every race fan gets a refund that attends it.
That's never happening.
I know, but as soon as they did it, as soon as they were to announce that, it'd be like 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th would be the final 4.
Yeah,
it's just NASCAR nowadays. It's like,
I figure the sport will get to a point if this trend keeps continuing where there's no points and they still race the 35 races and they're like, all right, whoever wins the last race.
I'll give you an equivalent. NASCAR is equivalent to a show as Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the rules change all the time and the points don't matter.
Watch them be like, if you finish 12th, you win the title.
Well, you want to hear the funny thing, right? We're making all these jokes, right? And people hate, majority of people find this format to be a joke. I did a Twitter poll, and like most of the people were like, no, not this one, right? IndyCar is thinking about doing a playoff format.
That's right. Yeah. They are.
What the hell, guys? Have you learned nothing?
It's like they learned nothing from.
I mean, I know IndyCar likes to kind of ignore the NASCAR fan base, but maybe you should talk to them about how we feel.
I'd like to be in the room with David.
Soon races are going to be me and David Land picketing in front to stop stupid decisions.
I'd like to be in the room with David Land when he hears that. Like, it's official. And there's a playoffs. Like, IndyCar, like, that's the one thing they have going for them. They have a consistent, like, point system. Like, I know just what I want.
Battles are good. They are really good.
Yeah. But, gosh. I don't know. The season's too short to do a playoffs, though. They only run, like, 17 races. So
stop people from doing stupid things. And reasons haven't stopped stupid people from doing stupid things in all of humanity. Why stop now?
I mean, look at like the, you say that truck series. Granted, it's not even that long, but they do it there. So I don't know.
The caution clock.
Oh, I remember that.
Thank God they were smart enough to say, okay, this is the 1 year and done thing.
Oh.
I remember that.
Let me go back to something positive, or I'm going to be sitting here like. It's going to be a flashback to me after the championship game this year if I don't start talking more positively. So my ideal Final Four, I had none of the people. None of the people I think are going to be in the Final Four are my ideal Final Four. My ideal Final Four, for sentimental reasons, Jimmie Johnson. I think everyone said enough. Chase Elliott, again, sentimental reasons. And now the 2 for personality, Ryan Blaney and Clint Bowyer. And I want Ryan Blaney and Clint Bowyer to be the 2 that go at it for the championship because I think they have the 2 best personalities in the sport. Like, I would love to see a Clint Bowyer championship celebration because I know that it'd be the closest thing we'd get to drunk Brad.
The best quote that I always think of is what Owen Larson said after Clint won Martinsville. Hey, Clint, how's your hangover?
Yep. I could totally see Clint celebrating through Vegas and coming up and being up on the stage drunk.
I
could see it.
I love it. I think Clint would be as bad as I was during the Darlington race.
Oh, that was hilarious. I'm still laughing about that one. Like,
Clint Bowyer would probably invite everyone in the Homestead crowd to his whatever party he's throwing.
Yeah.
He'd probably literally be like, here's the address, show up with your ticket, and you're in.
No, bring beer and you're in.
Yeah.
Quick note on that whole situation in case no one's familiar with it. So, as you know, I've been moving, and during the Darlington race, I still had a fair amount of alcohol in my fridge, and it needed to be gotten rid of, either thrown away or drunk. I chose to drink.
Don't drink and tweet, kids.
Kids, choose option C. Get a cooler. Oh, my God.
Positive note to end us. NASCAR Heat 3, available in stores now. Should get a copy. It's as far as this company only having 3 versions out of this, they're definitely making slow improvements year by year, which is something good. I feel like there hasn't been a year of this game yet where there's been a downgrade. They are always making improvements. So if they continue this, they've obviously got the license until 2029. I feel like they're moving in the right direction.
Hey, Jared, what do you think of the game?
It's garbage. It's garbage.
This is the man who didn't play the other two. And I told these guys this. When I got NASCAR Heat Evolution, I waited, and I bought it when it was used and pretty good price. Yeah, no, I took it back to GameStop after 5 hours of playing it. The Heat Evolution was awful. Heat 2 was playable. Heat 3, it's pretty fun for the most part.
Heat 3 garbage. It's not too much different than Heat 2. I'm not going to say it's garbage because it's basically a free video game. If you're planning on going to a race, it's basically free.
Yeah, it's the only thing it has going for it.
I'm just saying it is free, so I'm never going to trash it for being basically free. But yeah, it's better than Heat 2, but not by a lot.
Look,
it's a little better.
I don't hold myself to that highest standard of not trashing it if I get something in return that I like. I'm still trashing it.
To give the fans context, if it's not like up there with NASCAR Thunder 2004 for Jarrett, it's just straight garbage, correct?
If it's not competent, it's straight garbage.
Oh, okay.
I'm just thankful someone still makes relatively competent NASCAR video games, because when EA dropped them like 10 years ago, they could have just died,
Here's what I say is that if this is leaps and bounds better than the last two, then I'd sorely feel sorry for you guys because you raced horrible games.
Oh, the Heat Evolution was a bad game.
Yeah, Heat Evolution was just straight garbage.
Man, trust me, I played most of the EA games. I agree. It's hard to beat that as far as a console game goes. But I have to consider what we have. That's what we have. We're fortunate to even have it. I remember the time period, we had NASCAR 09 and 2008. 2009, EA Sports still had the NASCAR license, and it was clearly on the side of the cars in 2009. But you know what they chose to do? They chose to make a Wii game that was stupid. It was Mario Kart NASCAR, basically.
Oh, yeah. So ugly. Oh, my gosh. That game was so bad, too.
I never played that one. I did play NASCAR Unleashed.
Don't ever play it.
When
that NASCAR Unleashed, that was your Technics version of it.
Yeah.
When you play 04 and 06, and then you go and play this the next day, you see how low of a standard we have for NASCAR games nowadays. I mean, it's just like night and day. Like don't get me wrong, graphics are a lot better than those old games. Like,
of course. Well, they have to be.
Yeah.
Keep in mind this. Back then, games, people wanted something more serious, and now, it's
Simcade. It's Simcade.
They have to cater to a new, younger gaming audience who's familiar with just fun, childish games like, Fortnite,
Well, that's not good for us.
But as far as a gaming developer standpoint, I mean, I can see why they do it. But
I'll just say this. Had I known what I was getting into, and had there not been the ticket, and had there not been the Pro Series, I would not have got this game. I would have stuck to my game from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, no other sport seems to have this problem of such a drop-off.
2K, the NBA games suck.
Oh, yeah. I never liked those to begin with, though. Yeah. I think
they're the most overrated sports games.
Yeah.
Is 2K19, is that good this year? Has anyone got?
I haven't played one since 2K16, and I got it for free.
2K in general is just they make it look good, but it plays so bad. Like,
they look great, but they're just not fun to play.
I don't play NBA, but I do play the WWE 2K games, and the characters look identical. Like, they look very much similar to their real life counterparts. The entrances of the wrestlers look fantastic and realistic, but gosh, the game just plays so bad.
I will say this: I would look forward to a NASCAR made 2K game because of the customization options. I mean, you can open an expansion team and stuff and all that. I mean, you can download draft classes and all that stuff. I mean, if NASCAR was made by 2K, I could see you obviously you could start your own team and stuff like that, but you could customize the entire series, who comes up, who goes down, who's retiring, and all that stuff. You could do the same thing in my GM for 2K. So I figured you could do that in the NASCAR game.
That goes into marketing and licensing issues that they can't do. So
yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I mean that's a dream, but why though? Why? What's the problem? It's just a game.
It's just a change of times. I remember in NASCAR 2005, and it said that Jeff Gordon retired, and it brought not just some fake driver up, it actually brought Kyle Busch and put him into the 24 car. So,
Oh, really?
yep.
That's cool. Yeah. I like that.
Getting a little back to some other news really quick though. Was it today or yesterday they announced Casey Kane will be out for
It was
yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Can we just admit at this point he's probably retired?
Actually, no. I was gonna say it yesterday, but he tweeted something out. I mean, he tweeted something out saying he still wants to finish out. He wants to finish his career. So
Dale Jr. in 2016, though. I mean, he was tweeting
Basically.
until about Watkins Glen that, oh yeah, I'll be back at some point this year. Don't worry. And that, I don't know, that team has been so far down. It's like if Regan Smith actually performs halfway decent, like top 15 for 3 races or 6 or however long he's out, I don't see him coming back.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I hate this for Casey Kane, but I would consider myself an okay fan of Regan Smith, and I miss seeing him actually getting to compete. I was actually sad when they said that Justin Allgaier was going to take the 7. Granted, Justin's doing everything he needs to. He's really doing a great job in that ride, but I do miss seeing Regan Smith competing on a regular basis.
yeah, I have to agree with that. Well, Allgaier's been doing pretty good for the most part. Career highs of 5 wins, and I don't know. He's going to definitely be a championship threat and stuff, but I don't know. Out of all the drivers he could have signed, like Regan Smith, yeah, he's consistent in whatever he runs, but he couldn't have. I mean, like there has to be someone else who you could have brought someone up from Xfinity, maybe. Like, who are some of the guys who aren't running any Cup races who are still running full time in Xfinity? I mean, you could have brought
Sadler.
No, I'm talking about a young guy. Like, you could have brought like a young guy up and done a few races here and there,
Levine Family Racing just doesn't have any team they're really connected to. So, I mean, they kind of just take the best free agent they can find, I guess.
But does the team connection really matter when you're just looking for a replacement driver for like a few races? You could just be like we'll offer, like, can you just replace him for so-and-so? And yeah, like.
Here's an idea. Get Ross Chastain in a couple of races.
He's already under contract with Premium to do some. He's racing this weekend. Yeah, he's racing this weekend in the 15. He is back in the 42, which I think he'll win. So that'd be cool to see in person.
That'd be awesome.
And then also in the news is The Rock is preparing for racing to be back possibly. So
Yep. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he's ready to get back in the car. I'm looking forward to his return.
Rumor has it he will be in the 48, sponsored by, I don't know,
steroids.
Sponsored by SmackDown. Is that what you said?
Getting victory, and I want to thank Team Thomuth for all they've done for me this week.
Sponsored by whatever movie he's in that's coming out each week.
What crappy movie is he in this point?
Hey, he makes a lot of money off of those crappy movies, though.
Oh, I'm not disrespecting him. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I will say this, and I think everyone will probably get on board with this. We're planning on going to Bristol, the night Bristol race in August of 2019. If The Rock comes back, we're all going to that.
I'd like to see that. That'd be pretty cool.
We're all going to that.
I still think it'll be 3 or 4 years till we see Rockingham get a NASCAR race. Even in their statement, when asked about NASCAR, they said we don't have anything set right now. It's still ways off, but they're looking for it.
They'll be lucky if they get another Truck Series race for right now. It'll be a while before there's a Cup one.
Yeah, it'll be at least a few years till we see a Cup race at Rockingham, but it'll be cool.
I do think now more than ever, even when the Truck Series is back there, I think it seems more and more realistic, though, that it will be back in Cup within probably the 2020s.
Right.
And I think that's nothing but positive. I mean, I don't think it's going to bring a million people back, but the awesome racing they have there and the way it eats up tires, I think it's going to be fun.
What if they just randomly just slip in there, like all quietly, like, oh, and in other news, North Wilkesboro is back on the schedule. Everyone would freak.
Are we going to be racing ghost cars there or something?
Yeah, that's a dream. That's a dream. But I
mean, we literally had the guy from Save the Speedway.
Yeah, he said
that wasn't going to happen. So.
He's like, he basically said it straight up, and I was like, he said the NASCAR Cup Series will never race at North Wilkesboro again.
No, he said like, NASCAR will never.
Yeah,
he said NASCAR will never. And I'm like, then what's the point?
I'm like,
like that track is too big to have anything other than NASCAR there to pay everything back. There's no way, It's like, what's the point if you're not trying to aim high?
Right. We will never race again. I'm like, well, that's the attitude right there. That's a good attitude. That's a great one.
I did feel sad though, because I do wish that we could bring Wilkesboro back, but I think it's just too far removed and not enough people are taking care of it at this point. I mean, it's the facility's falling apart.
Yeah,
it looks like that. It looks like that old show, Life After People, that used to be on. Like when they show the commercials and you see like grass growing out of like the road and stuff being overgrown and falling down. It's like, that's what North Wilkesboro looks like. Like they probably went there to see what that show would look like.
I also, what's his name? Big YouTuber who talks about abandoned places.
Yeah, I was just looking that up.
That was actually my suggestion that went viral and stuff in his comment section. And he actually did the videos. Just shout out to him. That was all me there.
Yeah, that video
gave me the idea.
I'm looking at it right now. It has almost 600,000 views.
Yeah, so a lot of people know about it and stuff. And it was also in the last Cars movie. They didn't say directly, "Oh, this is North Wilkesboro," but if you took a detailed look at it, it basically was North Wilkesboro, just with a different title. So.
Also, a little bit sadder news, and they talked about this during the race, but that little boy Caleb.
I'm trying to interrupt you. I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
But that little boy Caleb that we had talked about with the racing stickers, he passed away. So I think that I can speak for everyone and say that our thoughts and condolences are with his family, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family. So
I don't know, it's so crazy. Like, I mean, he was only like 11 from what I heard. Then you get cancer or what was it, leukemia, and you just pass and stuff. I don't know, it's just messed up.
I will say that he, in this happening, brought a lot of people together in the racing community and showed how like the racing community is such a strong and like connected group of people. I really, I can't, you can't say there's any positives to this, but I can say that seeing how everyone banded together to help this kid and his family over this time, I think it really shows the integrity of the NASCAR fan base and media and community. Like when stuff really matters, we all join together. Mm-hmm. So,
and also, I know it can get really divided at times and stuff, but just the motorsports community in general, it's better than like football communities, basketball, like especially on YouTube and stuff. I mean, on YouTube, we have a lot of people in this community collaborating with one another and stuff, which is really, I don't think it's ever really happened like that before. I mean, Eric, he's been on like for decades, it seems like. His collaborating time. Yeah,
I've been alive for decades.
Yeah,
okay.
In internet time and stuff, and he'd probably agree. Like the NASCAR YouTube community has never been closer, and he's probably never ever seen like as many like collaborations that are going on right now and stuff. And if you go to like football or like basketball, it's like toxic, so toxic. Mm-hmm. Like I've been in a few of those. It's so toxic, man.
Well, welcome to Oakland. Let's get stabbed by Raiders fans now. Whereas NASCAR, welcome to Richmond. Watch that guy climb a fence.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. By the way, that dude, it was that guy's birthday too. So that's pretty awesome. That's the thing people forget. Drunk old 57-year-old,
Oh man.
That was the only good part of that race. And when Richmond's coming up, so that's sort of somewhat relevant, right?
And Junior's back. He'll be back.
Yeah, that's right.
I forgot about that. That would be exciting.
He might win. No, never mind.
Now I can know the happiness that Eric has felt all year with Matt Kenseth being back.
What car is Junior driving?
The 88.
Oh, he'll be competitive. He'll finish top 10, I'll bet.
Yeah, but
there's no Cup guys either.
It's Xfinity though. It's like
your guy come back and run top 10 in Xfinity or run 25th in Cup. I mean, that's kind of how I felt most of this year. That's why I was loving Indianapolis so much. It felt like the good old days.
What if Junior just decided, hey, I'm going to race Talladega? That'll never happen, but
no, you won't do that.
He wouldn't.
That's another thing. Have we talked about it on this show at all? I think we mentioned it last week. All the interviews that Dale Jr. did with Graham Bensinger. There's I don't know if there's a playlist, but he uploaded like 20 different parts, all a few minutes long each. You guys have probably watched some of them.
I watched the whole thing, yeah.
I can tell you what he said about like his racing career and all that stuff. Like basically what he was saying was, yeah, if I would have put in the effort like I did the second half of my career into my first, I would have won a championship. Because he even talks about, yeah, we would party like on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We'd just go have beer like after the race and stuff and all that. And he also said, you know, Teresa Earnhardt, I guess like he kind of praised her a little bit for this. He's like, every decision she made was always fair, which is, I mean, it's at least something positive, I guess we can take from his time at DEI when she was the boss and stuff. But at the same time, his sister Kelly was like, yeah, she would change, like, it would be it would be team president after team president after team president. Like, she was basically running the team like the Cleveland Browns at that point.
They had their director of management in 2006, 7, and 8, I believe, was a Christian music singer.
Yeah, so it was bad towards the end and stuff. And also he had some interesting things to say about his late father. I can tell you on Racing Reference, there was a little bit of debates on, you know, like, I'll just say this, like, oh, was Dale Sr. like a good father and all that stuff too and all that. And, you know, there were some debates on Racing Reference there and all that stuff, but I don't know. Go watch the video and go make that judgment for yourself.
I do want to bring up, he talked a lot about concussions and head injuries and stuff in the notes he kept. He does have a book coming out at the start of October, and I'm really interested as someone who's had a head injury before.
I might get that book.
How similar.
I might get that.
Yeah, how similar and different the experiences are. Because I know he said that one of the big things he said, I won't spoil the whole interview, but one of the big things he said is he had 20 to 25 concussions in his career.
That's crazy. Really interesting was the bit he said about like being, I won't spoil too much, but this is one of the things he talks about, is being at a party after the day or something, after he wrecked badly, and he like suddenly just like felt himself like in a daze get out of it, and like he needed to be like evacuated from a party because he just
he slept in the limo.
Oh yeah. Anyways,
in the limo.
There's a lot of good stories there. If you're a Dale Jr. fan, really just a NASCAR fan at all, definitely go check out. I guess he has a YouTube channel, Graham Bensinger. He's on TV. He does interviews with athletes.
No, not just athletes, like everyone, actors, actresses.
Okay. He does interviews with everybody.
Politicians, like that dude's like.
There's one with Brett Favre is really good too. Like, you know, and granted, I only rooted for Favre for 2 years as a Vikings fan, but I can say like, as a person, that's really interesting. And he had a good one with Brad Keselowski a long time ago.
I think he did it with Jimmy too a while back, like a year or two ago.
And I think people should subscribe to that channel because they're very, very interesting. Even if you disagree with what the people might say about sports or any social topic whatsoever, it's really interesting. Recommend it.
Yep,
definitely.
And with that, I think that might call it a podcast. I think we've covered all the points. It was a pretty in-depth one. So any final words, everybody?
No, I'm good. We've hit the 2.5 hour mark. It's been a while since we got this deep into a show. My goodness.
Just imagine we were supposed to have another guest on. Imagine what it would have been with him on.
Oh, we'd be going until 10 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, and again, I wanted to apologize for that. It was a complete miscommunication on my part there and stuff. I had thought I put the right time and stuff, but looking at the DMs I sent him and stuff, I had completely like messed up on that as well. But don't worry, I talked to him and he will be on next month.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Thumbnail,
which might be more interesting because we'll be further into the playoffs at that point. He might be able to give us some better thoughts.
Right.
I wonder if he watched it, what he would think of us sort of bashing it at the end, seeing how he's a big supporter. That would be pretty interesting.
I think he's crazy for that, but I will give him this. He makes terrific points rather than like some of these other fans that are like, yeah, playoffs, like, you know what I mean? Like just saying a bunch of nonsense. So
you pronounced wrong.
Oh, so you mean the fans are like, Dale's rolling in his grave.
I agree with that.
Wait, you agree Dale's rolling in his grave?
Oh, he totally is. But the state of the sport right now and the complete joke it is, hell yeah, he is.
Well, didn't he say to Jeremy Mayfield in an interview, like, you better save your money, boy. This guy's going to run
he's gonna run the sport into the ground. He said that about Brian France.
to Jeremy Mayfield. When was this? 2000, 2001?
2000. 1999, 2000 era. Yeah, he said that.
I can tell you this: if Earnhardt was still alive, none of this crap would be happening right now.
He could be CEO now.
Earnhart is CEO.
I don't know if he would have done it. That's true. I don't know if he would do it. But
I think he would have had I think he would have had a very in-depth part of the sport, though.
Honestly, I feel like maybe he'd be doing what his son's doing right now. He'd be doing a little bit of broadcasting.
I mean, he was no. Okay, here's why I agree with that. He was actually slated to make guest appearances after the NASCAR season on Fox NFL Sunday. He was supposed to be a host on it. They were talking about scheduling him as a host on it once the NASCAR season was done. He was going to go and probably into some sort of broadcasting. Yeah.
In 2001?
Because him and Terry Bradshaw were really good. Well, we're really good friends, and so he was going to be on there. Yeah.
I mean, imagine the state of NASCAR on Fox if we had Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt together.
Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be what if? What if, man?
Yeah, but
that's a good thought to go off of as we exit here.
And then like Junior working at NBC and his dad working at Fox and stuff. I mean, Dale Earnhardt's very competitive, and like he was, and I don't know. He'd probably be very competitive about that.
Oh, I could totally see him making a funny comment, being like, "Yeah," and then they got that other guy over at NBC.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, I think that's a good positive note to end on. So, any final outros, and then we'll get running.
It's good to be back. It's good
to have you back, man.
Yeah. And happy belated birthday. Wasn't it your birthday just a few days ago?
My birthday was on Sunday the 9th. I was going to go to Indy, but then we looked at the weather forecast. It's like, nope, we will buy tickets to Talladega maybe.
Probably will be a little more fun.
Yep. Happy 47th birthday to DannyBTalks.
So back in my day, boys, we had
good racing every week. Oh, God. Any other outros, or you want me to just talk us out?
So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Go subscribe to everyone's channels, go like everyone's videos, all that stuff. I will be at LVMS from Thursday to Sunday, not just watching the races. I'm going to be working the whole time. So no new uploads this week and this weekend. I'm going to be busy. Like for example, Neal Reid, my boss, was on earlier. I have to be at the media center by 8 a.m. sharp, and we don't leave until like 9. So I'm gonna be there like the whole damn day. But I mean, it's work, but it's racing. So then it's not really work. I really don't know what to call this, and I'm looking forward to the whole weekend. And if you guys see me, definitely, give me, say, hey, what's up and all that. I met one of my subscribers at the bull ring last weekend, and he gave me a video suggestion. It's a NASCAR bus video. So at least you'll have that. A lot of you complained that I don't do too many of those. So NASCAR bus video will be the next upload on my channel. And yeah, if you see me, just say what's up and all that. And yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.
Yep. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Another great week. I really liked having Bill Lester on at the top of the show. So when this podcast uploads in an hour or two or in the morning, I guess, be sure if you missed it to go back and watch the first 20 or 30 minutes. So I thought that was really interesting. Thanks to all of our guests. And thank you to all of our panelists. Definitely go check out all these guys. Y'all know the drill. I uploaded a new Out of the Groove today. I know we kind of hit on our playoff predictions earlier, but if you want to hear me go super in depth on all my playoff predictions round by round all the way to the champion, you can go watch that on my channel right now if you want. But yep, other than that, been fun. Another great show this week. I'm looking forward to next week. So thanks, everyone.
And you know me, I'm the host channel, the Iceberg. Subscribe to me and subscribe to all these guys. Got their links in the description down below. This podcast also will be in the playlist on my channel. I should probably put the link to that more often. Note for future podcasts. Anyway, next week we'll be on Eric's channel, and we're gonna have a special guest, NASCAR fan 4888 JJ. So that should be a really fun stream to have. Should be a pretty fun race weekend, hopefully. No, Darian will have fun. I have a new video coming out probably by Friday, Missing Rings on Jeff Gordon in 2014. So that should be something I go in really in depth onto championship seasons that should have been. And then you can catch any Devil's Advocate every Tuesday. Well, if you don't watch any of those, I'll see you next Wednesday, more likely, for the podcast. And to say my final word, Eric, watch your potty mouth.